Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Pitch. Drive to left field. Hits way back. At the wall. Gone! Connor Wong. A two-run bomb, and the Red Sox lead it 2-0.
Swung on and hammered. Way back and gone. He is a one-man show. 3-0 Dodgers. His second home run in as many days, and his National League leading 23rd bomb.
Tied at 7. The pitch. Time called. Time violation. A pitch clock violation on Finnegan. And that's the game.
That ball is driven to right, and no doubt about it, Ravi on that ball. 2-1. Start ground ball third. Hurrdat will go to second for one to first. Oh, they turn. That ball is hammered, and that may end the zero. It is gone. 2 down, top 8. That ball is driven to left field. He's watching. So is everyone else. It's out of here.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
What up? What up? How are things?
Just hanging out here on a nice and cool Monday morning.
Cool.
It's not balmy outside already or anything. We're good to go.
What is it? Low 70s?
Yeah, it's a little humid already.
Yeah,
So-
I finally turned my sprinkler system back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I was getting spoiled.
Yeah, a lot of rain. A lot of rain there.
But I did see some opportunities for some pre-sip on Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, it looks like Thursday. Heading for triple digits today, I think.
Yeah, the next 3 days may be a scotcha.
I think a couple. I think Wednesday's supposed to cool off a little bit. I mean, like 88, but compared to 100,
Anything's better than last year, so that's how I look at it.
yeah, last year was hot and
Yeah,
dry.
it's not good.
Not about that life.
That is not good.
TK already on the stream says 101 ain't working for me. Yeah, you got that. It's hot down there. It's hot up here.
TK doesn't play, does he?
Nah,
My man stays on it.
he does.
He
It's
stays on it.
got Ken and TK chiming in already. We appreciate everybody listening.
Ken E.
Yeah, Ken E.
Ken E.
Not Kenny.
no.
Ken E.
Kenny.
Oh my God, you killed Kenny. Bastards.
I don't think you can say that on a kid's show. Then I learned quickly.
Not really a kid
It's not
show.
a kid's show.
Just because it's
It's not
animated.
even remotely a kid's show.
No.
I'll fully admit I used to be into that quite a bit. I used to watch South Park.
Just
all
because
the
it's
time.
animated doesn't mean it's a kid show. That's what we learned.
I know, man. Haven't you seen like Bakugan?
I don't know what that
I don't
is.
either. I only know about that stuff because of one Niles Paul.
Really? Is he real big into like the anime
He's
stuff?
like yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the other? Was it Dragon Ball Z? Is that the thing?
I think so.
Okay.
Is that one, Shane, where they had little baby dinosaurs sometimes that look like those little things that you can get the cards and they
That's Pokemon,
oh well that too.
I think.
Whatever. Shane knows how I feel about that kind of animation, so I get them all confused.
Yeah, I'm not.
with the big eyes and
The only
spiky
reason I
hair.
know Pokemon is that like came out
Wait,
when I
who-
was
who?
Pokemon.
Said it kind of funny.
Pokeball.
I don't know. Hey,
Pokemon.
don't get me started on those.
Do you like them or no?
I love them.
Yeah.
I had one on a humbug probably 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and I made the mistake of getting it to go, and I picked it up. Those are the kinds of places you need to watch them make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Skimpy, and then there was what they did with my bowl.
That's rough.
Yeah, I had to go 3 proteins because of I can't remember what option 1 and 2 are, but basically it's the equivalent to rice.
Mhm.
And I was doing without that.
Yeah.
But it was, man, it's a little slight. I felt like I went to that stretch on TikTok where everybody was like taking their camera to Chipotle.
Yeah.
I should have done that. But I don't want to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I ain't typically
I mean, I feel like
a penguin.
that's no, not today.
It is 72.
It's a little warm in here.
What is going on?
I'm going all Billy Madison. Too damn hot for a penguin to
I
be
feel
outside.
like a penguin.
I know I was hitting Bill up yesterday. Zoe was dead set on playing with a friend.
Yeah.
She wanted to swim. And they bit the bullet. I think they ended up going to the public pool because Bill was being a good dad. I think he's at the movies or something. So it took a little bit. And just running around outside. And it was like, who would in their right mind? And I get it. There are some heliotropes that need the heat and the sun. I ain't really that guy.
I will
just little. It's she can stay out there for. I use a fish too. Almost broke one of the things off our tub at home, and I heard this crash. I'm like, what is going on? She's got a squirt gun. I'm like, hey man, this ain't a pool.
You're like, where do we get all this? What's happening?
I know what time it is, but this is not a pool. She looked at. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I will take this over winter. I definitely will.
No, see, okay, this is gonna be like, really, DB? As long as you can move around in your car without being impeded by snow, give me the cooler weather.
No, pass. Not about that life.
There's nothing enjoyable about this.
There's nothing enjoyable.
It would probably
be
different, like if
out.
you tanned. Right, I get it.
I mean,
right?
I tan. Look at that tan line right
No,
there.
I meant intentionally.
Oh, okay.
Or you go get your lawn chair game right and stuff like that. But nah,
I'll take this over the cold any day of the week.
Yeah,
I will. I'm just not doing it. Not doing the cold. Not a fan.
Not doing it.
Not interested.
No, so you just be careful out there.
Yeah, be careful as
next
you're
2 or 3 days.
heading out. It's gonna be a little warm.
As Alexa told me 13 times this weekend.
Hey, it's gonna be hot out there.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I don't know how these CWS fans are doing it, but they eat this stuff up.
You know, until yesterday, I think it was, I don't know who put this. I think it was Rob Anderson put this out. It was one of the cooler in terms of temperature CWSs in the last decade.
Yeah. So my vibe is I've made up my mind, especially as I was like elbows deep in it yesterday. I much prefer to spend time with Tennessee fan than A&M fan.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not just a Trev thing. Like, I actively don't.
Oh, I didn't even think about that because I would hang out with Trev too.
No, I mean, I actively don't want Texas A&M to win because of Trev. But
that is so childish.
Even if it weren't a factor, like, I still, even if, Trev was still at Nebraska, whatever.
It literally smells like grilled cheese in here.
I would still root for Tennessee over Texas A&M. The fans are just better.
Just a little more better, worse, because A&M has some fantastic, like, they get it in.
Yeah, no, they're loyal and they're aggressive.
They get it in, and they're all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean, you stop at a gas station, go get a loaf of bread, you're gonna see A&M fan. But for me, I just think Tennessee is way more relatable.
Yeah,
just a little more. Probably I guess I'm gonna keep it safe and go with relatable. Right. I don't leave conversations and feel like,
what planet are you living on?
No, like that I don't have enough money or I didn't enjoy my public education enough.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little condescending.
I don't know, but one of those two fan bases may tear that downtown city up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be any worse than LSU last year. LSU was getting after it.
Yeah. Was it just last year where all the pictures of the
players were out
and
in downtown?
Was it just last year where old boy was on the park bench with his girl?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, LSU.
You're not topping that.
No. If you're,
that was in public on the I'll give you so there's a handful in a row that have been crazy.
Mississippi State was pretty nuts.
Off the chain.
Was Ole Miss after them?
So the difference between Mississippi State and LSU is if you're ranking on cares given,
I think Mississippi State cares more than LSU does.
Because
Mississippi State doesn't have anything else.
At least they kept it into one little pocket.
Yeah.
LSU is everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And you just don't do all that, like I said, in public.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, some people do.
So, whoever Is it whom or who?
I don't know. We're not in like Great Britain, so most people just go who in every circumstance, even when it's wrong.
I know, but I feel like I should say it correctly. Regardless of which team wins, so it's there are going to be some businesses down there that better be stocked because the attendance has been fantastic,
100%,
and the fan bases have been fantastic.
They've been represented well.
I wonder what, like, kind of some fan bases like have a particular drink of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee seems like they would be more whiskey, right? Because of that part of the
Tennessee whiskey. Yeah,
and beer. I don't know what A&Mers would drink. Like what? I'm totally generalizing.
Yeah,
like just the whole broad brush thing.
They strike me. I mean, they don't strike me as like a clear liquor crowd.
But who would that be? Virginia?
Ooh, Virginia might be like a.
Do I strike you as a clear liquor crowd guy?
I don't know, but we both are.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't know. You are pretty close to, like, most of your tequila comes from Mexico. You're pretty close to Mexico down at A&M. It could be a tequila town. I don't know. Like local access to some good tequila. I don't know.
That's fine.
I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together here.
Oh shoot! But you can't really tell a book by its cover because
A&M.
Remember my old boss Tepper?
Yeah.
Tepper seemed pretty chill, right? Like,
yeah,
just a regular down. That was actually probably his greatest strength.
Yeah,
right? Is he
like really
relate.
keeled.
Yeah. I would never have guessed that dude for a beer snob. And he's
I would.
And he's 100% a beer snob.
He kind of gets, so he lives in Colorado now, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of gives the, like, not like hipster almost, like, and those people are all beer snobs for the most part. Like, they love a good IPA or,
I'd never seen a beer ranking app.
Double hazy IPA or whatever it is. No, I'm not doing any of that.
we had
no big
we
deal.
had Yingling delivered, and everybody. This was back when they were like getting it in St. Louis or whatever, and it was as close to us as it was going to be. He looked at me just deadpan, straight face. We're talking Yingling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's be cool. It's a pretty good tailgating beer. What? What? Like people that I know are like grabbing Busch Lights and Bud Lights. Yingling's a good tailgating beer.
What's that?
That let me know right what we were dealing with.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of the hipster crowd that's very beer snobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and I would he's not quite a hipster, but he's got kind of like the outdoorsy vibe, He's like right on the borderline there. So
didn't we get him from Houston though, Shane? Wasn't he coming from Houston?
Originally, because he was down in Houston, I think, when he came up to Omaha.
Yeah,
but he's kind of had that vibe, Like I'm gonna go on a hike and have an IPA.
Yeah, I could definitely see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big dog guy too. I like him.
Yeah, he explained to me. Actually, Shane did what IPA stood for. That's so far. That's
India Pale Ale.
Yeah, this was so long ago.
You know why? It's because they had to put a bunch of preservatives in it to make the trip from England to India. And so it was made in England. It wasn't made in India. It was made in England. Then they put a bunch of.
I almost said something smart. I'm glad I didn't.
It's too early.
It is.
It's too early in the day.
And it is Monday, so I got to kind of get a feel for where we're headed.
But no, it was So they made it differently to survive the trip.
He said it's too early.
I mean, it's never really too early.
I almost shot my shot early.
What were you gonna say? Like I wasn't made in India either? Or what?
No, not gonna get me.
Not today, not yet.
Nope.
I mean, I usually do get you, so it's all right.
Not gonna get me.
Coming up at 8:00, we're gonna talk to Sam McKewon of the Omaha World-Herald. At 9, we've got a very special guest, Baylor Scheierman.
It's draft week.
It is draft week. He's been kind enough to join us on draft week. He's been letting our crew follow him around for the last few weeks.
I have a question.
Yeah.
They were still handing out invites because a couple guys gave theirs declined.
Mm-hmm.
This was going into Friday. If you don't have a green room invite, by when are you not going?
Because
I think Ware's got his last Monday.
So for me, this is a tricky one for me. And at 9:45, we'll Kyle Peterson and talk college baseball. This is a tricky one for me because I'm bougie. So, like, I would love doing the suited and booted and, like, going to the thing and, like, having the whole, like, would love that. Right up my alley. I also don't want to sit in a green room for 3 hours if I don't know, like, I'm going relatively
How
early.
were they going to pull off having 2 days of because the second round's on TV the next day? Like, are we tuning in for that?
I mean, I don't know. People watch the third day of the NFL draft.
That's a horrible analogy.
It's the only analogy we have.
Those guys typically make the team and they play.
I understand that.
And
although third day you're starting to get to some.
The NFL is by far the most popular sport.
I understand that. It's the only analogy it's the only similar situation we have. A televised draft over multiple days. What would you like me to compare that to?
I don't know. I'm going to ease into Monday.
I'm not saying there's a lot of people.
But because it's the air quotes only analogy doesn't necessarily make it a good one.
Well, it's the best one we've got, right?
All right.
Like,
lighten up.
It's the best one we've got.
I felt one of those coming.
We're going to be all right.
We might.
I don't know, Doc. I don't know. No, listen, there's probably, I understand there's a dramatically smaller audience for it, but I mean, is it any different than the audience fall off from hour 1 or whatever to hour 2 and if you're doing it on the same day? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess my point is to like fire it up again the next day.
I don't know. I feel like you're more likely to get people.
You're more likely to have hanger-oners on one day than you are
maybe
appointment the next day.
Yeah, I don't know about appointment. It's just like what else is on? Like it's end of June.
Which would be Friday, right?
Yeah, so that'll be the 28th, right? So you've got College World Series is over. NHL will be over by that point. NBA's been over. Like all you've got is baseball. So if you don't watch baseball and you care about something sports related, what else are you gonna watch?
We are talking baseball. Shane, did I kick myself out of the stream?
Yes, you did.
Awesome.
Way to go, man. Come on.
Awesome.
Come on, man.
I was shooting for it. Well, after what you did to me on Friday, I shouldn't.
What I did to you on Friday?
I didn't even want to get back on camera again.
I just came.
This is a long.
What did I do on Friday?
Was it Friday? I don't know. That show seemed like I was spent.
I might have been the only person that didn't do anything to you on Friday.
Well, there we go. Again.
DB, how's 7-on-7?
7-on-7 was good.
It was all right. That's the first one of those I've been to.
7-on-7 was good. I enjoy the tournament.
Yeah, it's Sauter and the Battle people did a great job.
Yeah, poor Sauter.
Man, they did I will say the thing that I am most impressed with is how on schedule they stayed.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That clock is crisp.
Yes. And there's no dilly-dally and there's no lag time. It's just boom, the thing's over. Like they were able to give the last games a 5-minute breather because they were ahead of schedule.
Were you hot?
It was warm, but I was okay. It
didn't seem as bad as I thought.
It was pretty windy, which helped a lot.
Yeah.
I really didn't think it was bad. I mean, it was, would I've taken it like 10 degrees cooler? Sure, but I didn't think it was bad at all.
Yeah, it was far from.
I wasn't like uncomfortable even.
Yeah.
It was pretty solid. And I was wearing like pants too. I wasn't even wearing shorts.
Yeah, I was probably, and I can't even remember what I had on, a hood and sleeves, I'm sure. Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah, you're wearing the same thing you always wear, basically.
Yeah.
Long sleeves and shorts.
Somebody was making fun of me. Was it Franzen? Somebody. And I was like, yeah, I'll dress the exact same in November. Just easier that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like my house.
Sometimes
it's on the same temp all year.
Sometimes you switch to long pants. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's
only because my coach makes me.
It's the only variable. Yeah, it was an interesting experience. It kind of is what you expect it to be in terms of the type of football and stuff. But there's some good players out there.
Yeah, Shane, I think I may have deleted you. You may have to send me that link again, babe.
Oh, come on, Shane.
I don't know why I did.
That's totally on me.
Sasha's probably like, this idiot. Get in the goddamn stream.
No, there's some good players out there though. I was glad I got out there to watch some of the guys.
Is there a group that you're anxious to see?
That I was anxious to see, or that
Like you think? 'Cause
in the fall?
for me, that would be Central.
Yeah, Central was. I mean, they're obviously a talented group. They got a bunch of offers in their younger classes.
Just really, if they can keep that same competitive energy,
Yeah.
it could serve them well.
So here's the thing, and I think this is why Vers doesn't love 7-on-7 and stuff like that.
I'm not going to watch split catch.
It's
Which
really
everybody thought was so funny.
It's really
Everybody.
I have to just I think it's important to remind yourself, and I think this is where people get carried away sometimes. Is like I have no idea what Central's line play is going to be like.
Yeah,
that's going to be a huge factor. Same thing like Millard South. Like they lost a bunch of guys up front. That's going to be a big factor.
Hey, how do you like their size when they go like 2x2 and 3x1?
They've got a lot of good size.
You're gonna have to go get it.
Yeah, they got a lot of big dudes out there.
Yeah.
And Lofton wasn't even out there, I don't think.
Tamala's bigger than he gets credit for, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's a long,
he's tall
drink of water.
He's got to be at least 6'3".
No, he's over that.
I'll say maybe taller.
I don't know. I hate to say that so emphatically, but yeah, he's.
My guess was 6'3", 6'4", somewhere in there.
Yeah,
like he's a big kid.
Yeah.
Really long limbs.
Yep.
Really long limbs. I was impressed. He threw the ball well.
So when people ask me about him, I think it's important because the two things that I care about, because this is kind of what I'm hearing.
He's just gonna be a junior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I'm hearing. It's like people talk about his arm talent. I'm like, listen. First of all, bring him in up close. Like just either go work him out
or bring him into camp.
Bring him in.
Yeah.
Okay. Second of all, like the two most important things I think for a quarterback are their football acumen and your ability to kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's your anticipation.
Yeah.
So if you have those two things, you can always get stronger.
Well, and
you can always get stronger. And he's so stinking thin.
Yeah.
So like
it looks like he did put on a little.
Yeah, I know.
He
has some muscle. Yeah. So as he continues to
fill into his body,
fill in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he was,
and there's nothing he can't see. So he's not one of those guys where you get out. You're like, well, he wouldn't be able to get that off with an O-line.
No, he'd be able.
No, he'll be just fine.
Yeah, because he's 6'3", 6'4", and he plays 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
He doesn't drop the arm angle or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because you have some tall guys that throw from down here, and it's like, well, you might as well be 5'10", doesn't matter. No, I was impressed. And for being a guy going into his junior year, I actually don't think his build is bad in terms of, people are like, oh, he's too skinny, whatever. It's for sophomore into junior, it looked about right to me.
Yeah.
And maybe even ahead of where some guys would be as 15, 16.
Well, I just put like Anthony in that frame.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah, I think so. And Anthony filled out in the next couple of years. Yeah, I was really impressed with Jet. He threw the ball really well.
Were you happy with your Mustang?
Well, we can talk about that on the other
side. We got a lot. And you got the lineup out too. So
I did get the lineup.
You gave yourself a little cushion.
I'm ahead of time
for the pushing.
I'm ahead of time. We'll talk a little more North, a little more 7-on-7 on the way back. We also have College World Series coming up.
Who are you rooting for
tonight?
Tennessee.
Oh, obviously Tennessee. Can't give Trev anything.
You're so petty.
That's CBM Ravi, Lulla. We're here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back.
Appreciate y'all.
We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We are back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. If you miss anything, just make sure you get on over to wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, tune in. You just make sure you hit that.
You out on Google now because you couldn't figure it out, or what?
No, Google I don't think has podcasts anymore.
What happened?
I think they shuttered their podcast platform.
I shut it down.
Yeah, I read an article.
You read?
And when I remember how.
My buddy Jordan said he may be the only person in Omaha cheering for A&M. That may be right because I haven't heard anybody else say that.
So I will say, and this is not a fair representation of the A&M fan base, I do think the early issue with the A&M fans and the Florida taunting situation really put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth that didn't have.
Oh yeah. And that was which was crazy because one bad apple.
Yeah. Two, but yeah.
Spoiled basically the bunch.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said,
is that really a thing scientifically, Shane?
I don't know. I don't
if you
think
put
so.
I dropped a Honeycrisp yesterday and it was bruised, but we only had 3, so I didn't put it up there.
Depends
I threw away and I felt terrible because I hate wasting food.
Yeah.
I tossed it.
I think it depends on what's wrong with the apple. Like if there's a worm in it, yeah, it'll get all the other apples. If it's a bruise, I don't think bruises are transferable.
What? Worm just makes its way around?
Yeah, worms got to eat, bud.
Huh. How many apples could one worm eat, man? They're little.
I don't know, man. They stay hungry.
Yeah, I don't know, but I got to see that.
I'm hungry.
We need that thing where they like slow down the camera to
He's
watch
like
the whole process.
He's like Tyreek in Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm hungry.
I just told you last week, like I'm probably one of the few people that's never sat through any of those. I
Yeah.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Probably.
But I have seen Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick.
Shane
and
Shane
the
knows what I'm
Pacifier.
talking about.
Shane knows nothing.
Shane knows what I'm talking. He's a big Tokyo Drift guy.
Yeah, but I don't really like the second one though. I've only
That's
seen
because it doesn't have Vinny Diesel.
I've only seen the second one once, and I didn't really like it.
What, he took a movie thing off?
Yeah, so he wasn't in the sequel.
God, that pastry is wearing me out.
And then he was only in the very end of Tokyo Drift. And then they're back at 4. They got the crew back together.
Okay.
And then at 7, Paul Walker died. So
well, Tokyo Drift is supposed to be a
a
precursor
prequel.
to the first one, so it makes sense that he's only in
the timeline
last-
on those movies is all goofy.
Yeah.
They jump all over the place. It's nutty.
You don't hate on Star Wars for that reason.
No, that's. I think they were more clear about when those take place. At least if you're paying attention.
Well, the only reason why they did that was because in the third one there was Han, and everybody liked that character, and they wanted to bring the character back, and the only way they could do it was to make that a
prequel, or they make that a prequel, because otherwise he dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Wait.
Huh?
No, I thought I saw that. He got into it with his. Is that his son?
No, it was like a.
Shane, who's the guy that knocked him off the little thing? He stabbed him.
Oh, we're talking about. There's 2 Hans. There's a Han in Star Wars, and there's a Han in Fast and Furious.
No, I'm talking about Solo.
Yeah, no, he got knifed by his kid. Yeah.
Okay. You had me
Kylo
thinking of
Ren.
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Kylo
Yeah,
Ren.
he got
Kyler Reed.
No, he's short. Kyler Reed's shorter than Adam Driver. Adam Driver's tall.
Shane, what college football team did Kyler Reed play for?
There's 2 right answers.
It's only one that matters if you're.
Yeah, but there's 2 right answers.
You're an idiot.
The University of I don't know.
Is that where you got your degree, Shane? The University? I don't know.
Our Kyler Reed, the K speed on social media is played at Nebraska. He was one of those guys that everybody loved, like I loved. I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be sensational. Then I think I blamed me not being right about his production on the staff and not my own evaluation.
I blamed it on Taylor Martinez not being able to throw the football.
And then he was like dinking around in the league.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, I know this guy is good.
People always thought
He's
really
coaching
highly
now
of
too,
him.
by the way.
Where's he coaching at?
He might be in high school. You're going to have to do that thing again with It Shut My Hole.
The Twitters?
Yeah.
Okay. He made like the preseason Mackey list, I think, one year.
Yeah. Like he's everything you wanted.
He was really well thought of, and physically, I don't think the system or the quarterback probably did him any favors, but I mean, obviously he was talented. Kick around the league for a little bit.
We get bored in July. We'll have a where we were right and where we were wrong. Because I have some classics.
Yeah. Yeah. Just Nebraska football specific or in
Yeah.
general? Because you go wide.
No, I don't want you to dominate the show. So let's just keep it to we'll just keep it to Nebraska.
You're right. I'm right a lot.
Just keep it to Nebraska.
No, I've got a couple doozy draft evals, but that's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've got
Guys coming out of college.
Yeah. I have a particular my really, really bad one was Blaine Gabbert over Cam Newton. I thought he was better.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, it aged really badly. In the moment, I don't think it was a crazy take, but it aged obviously really, really poorly.
Gosh, you know who I'm hoping that is?
Who?
McCarthy.
Yeah.
For his own sake.
Yeah. I mean,
I just want Minnesota to be okay with Jefferson getting that kind of payday.
Yeah.
And deep down, you want the real secret.
Why?
I low-key cheer for Sam Darnold.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
SC.
Oh, okay. That's weird, but
and everybody's hated on him,
It's
right?
not even
And
like-
some of it he's earned.
yeah.
But I would like to just see him have, a competent coach, good offensive mind.
which it did last year. He just wasn't going to play over Purdy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like.
Which, by the way, can you move on Ayuk so we can all get along?
I don't even recognize what we're doing. I have no idea.
Well, it's not like I'm tickled about our training camp because now it's this. Is field starting inevitable? I was like, oh, Lord.
Probably.
Tomlin tried to nip that in the bud in April, and
so did Russell. He wanted to move him to tight end.
I'm glad you find humor in that.
Wilson's like, no, we should get him on the field, just not a quarterback.
Yeah, so I blew the Kyler Reed thing. I totally wasn't my worst. There were a couple of guys during that era that I completely whiffed on. Now some it's not my fault because I didn't know they were going to lose their mind. Like Jared Offalava's one.
Yeah.
I watched that guy's tape and I was like, he's going to be incredible.
I also do feel like there were a lot of guys that Bo's staff would like they get in the doghouse and could never get out.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably one of the biggest like downfalls of that staff is they like could not get their most talented guys on the field.
Yeah. Well, that was one of that stretch was one of the main reasons why I would talk about coaches play the guys that they trust, not
the best
the best players.
Yeah.
And because that trust is part of it.
It is, but I also feel like we often put that moniker that coaches play the guys they trust. We put a lot of that on the players. And part of it is, but coaches also have to give players opportunities to earn that trust.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to put them in positions to succeed so they can earn that trust. Right. And I don't know that Bo's staff was great at either of those two things.
Yeah, there's a high degree of, especially the way sometimes that you develop can help or hurt that process. Like if you're a top end guy or you only rep certain guys during practice, it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
But if you look at everyone in its totality, then it's like, I see where this may work. It was funny because one of the things that Coach Rule said about Gramstad was he didn't talk much about his physical talents. What did he talk about? It's just his presence.
Yeah,
like
all the other stuff. All the other stuff.
And I'm big on that. Like
especially at quarterback. Especially at quarterback.
So, I did a Benning Bites. So this is probably 2.5 months ago. I don't know. It's right when I came back. So longer than that. Well, I was talking about the temperament in the quarterback room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to sell people on that because I think when those guys can work together a certain way and the room operates a certain way, it's as powerful as any position group on a team.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and so when I was asking Mitch about it last week, I'm not even talking about productivity yet.
No.
But
just talking about their
just
attitude impact on
how they go to work.
Yeah.
When your O-line and your QB room have an it kind of thing to them, man, you give yourself a chance.
Well, I mean, there's a reason everybody looks to the quarterback as a leader, right? Like there is,
and you'd love it to be,
aren't.
Yeah,
some
you'd love it
aren't.
to be that way, but some guys just aren't.
But you look to them because there's a natural inclination there, right? So if that natural inclination matches up with what's actually in the room, then you might actually be onto something.
I just think it's one of the more underrated things about quarterbacks is are guys drawn to them.
We will continue this conversation as we wrap up hour number 1 next here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number one here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. And what's up?
Laughing at your biggest advocate.
Who?
Tony. He's like, hey.
Tony's my guy. I don't even know Tony, but he's got my back.
I think Tony sometimes thinks I bully you, which I have never really understood.
You're super mean to me.
Yeah. I mean, I just have all these outlandish takes.
Why are you always bullying me?
And he's like,
nice to
this is
you.
actually kind of funny because I have a good sense of his personality. He's like, hey, Copa America's on. And I had asked you to change the channel anyway, right? But there are no games on or matches on.
They're not in Euros.
Not in your I
didn't check Copa because I assumed Copa would run later.
So I think 11 maybe might be the first. But anyway,
not till 5 today.
So
they're late today.
Oh yeah, because we're getting later.
Yeah.
So I go, and he goes, hey, it's a lot more drama than the second day of the NBA draft. And I just laughed. I was like, yeah, good point.
Well, I mean, listen.
Those guys are going to be all two ways. The biggest drama is going to be who's going to make trades because the draft is so sorry.
Yeah.
Or how do you say Richeray? You know what I want?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Get out of my head. I'm just talking about.
I'm just trying to be able to hear you in my
last
headphones.
names. No,
right
we're better
now,
right?
No, not at all.
Do you like how Coach Sikora was making fun of my voice?
I can't hear. Yes, that was funny.
Can you they pick?
Shane, is he coming through the mic?
I can hear you just fine.
No, are you? I can't hear you.
No, I can hear you. That's your own fault. What's the matter? You got stuff in your ears?
No, I don't. I don't know what's going on here.
Do you see how scary close this is?
Yeah, no, it's not the mic thing for you. I think there's something happening here.
It's terrifying.
Something's happening here.
It is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. No, I like it when other people make fun of you because I never get to. So
no. No, never.
I'm just so kind-hearted, and
just a regular nice guy.
And I've got such a gentle spirit that I feel like
real patient guy.
Yeah, super duper patient. That's why I get along with kids so well. It just
never any super strong opinions.
Yeah, I'm not snarky or sarcastic at all. Like I'm just here to get along to try to make everybody's.
That's why I hope your Niners crash and burn.
That's rude.
I tried to give you a little love.
That's unkind
for your Red Sox, and you made it seem like they should be winning the pennant.
No, I would like them to be better than they are.
But wouldn't we all?
Well, yeah, I think
there's definitely something.
Yeah, I don't think you're coming through. Now I can't hear him.
And the clutch, coming through the bench.
Yeah, you're no David Ortiz,
Hey, so. Nah, never.
Maybe a little more Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. Did you see Bonds have to adjust his sunglasses trying to understand Ortiz's line of questioning? I thought it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But Bonds didn't mean anything by
No, he was, yeah.
He just, the questions had depth.
Yeah.
So I think Bonds wanted to.
He was trying to make an honest effort.
And you can see Bonds' brow kind of furrow up.
Yeah, he was trying to follow it, and he just was having a hard time.
For some reason on my TikTok yesterday, I was getting Bonds versus Gooden in '86. Do you know what Bonds' first number Bonds were?
7.
Well done.
Yeah.
That's okay. You might have just gone from that's pretty good.
I spend.
That's really good.
So I have I told you.
Not an old head. Why are you standing next to me, little dude?
I think he's switching out your mic because I think something happened with your mic.
It's always my mic.
Do we want to just give him this headset that's sitting right here?
Hey, why is it a me thing?
Here, let's try this one. Why don't we switch these out, DB?
Okay.
We're having some technical issues, so I wouldn't worry about it.
That's okay. Do you just want me to put these on?
Yeah.
Hey, Shane, is this thing on? Okay, I'm gonna wait for you to shuffle on back to your little birdhouse.
I'm a big Bonds nerd though.
Yeah, 7. That is, but it was not good in '86.
Yeah, go ahead and switch it out.
Yeah, I have this. Are we back? Oh, that's better. I can already tell.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, I can hear you. DB's back.
Yeah, guess who's back?
Stream.
No, but
let me know if that sounds better in the stream, guys.
I loved Gooden's leg kick.
Yeah.
And how he reminded me of Tiger Woods on a follow through in 2001.
Okay.
How his right leg could sustain that kind of bend and drive.
Torque.
It was incredible.
You know what a leg kick that I was very fond of?
No, I mean the right leg.
Yeah, no.
Like
the push off.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what a left leg kick that I always enjoyed, even though it was kind of dumb?
This ought to be good.
Bronson Arroyo.
Wow. I thought Arroyo, I don't know if it was the hair and the tats, but I thought Arroyo was going to be tough.
He had a nice run. When he went to Cincy after the Red Sox, he had a really good run.
Baseball hair is a real thing.
Oh,
you see these kids running around at the
100%.
Schwab and stuff
Yeah.
with the flat bill. Everybody has long hair.
Yeah. The mullet has come back hard in baseball.
I can't see what's going on with the sides, but I just know that there's a lot going on down here.
It looks like a mullet, like the way a lot of guys wear it. It looks like a mullet under the hat.
And I'm so petty and worried about hygiene. I'm like, man, I wonder how much shampoo you guys run through.
Oh yeah, I've got.
Or do you think do kids shampoo their hair like they
Probably
should?
Occasionally.
I have 2 barometers left at home, and I know one is 6, and she washes her. She came back from the pool yesterday. You wash my hair? I'm like, girl, it's 4:00 on a Sunday. Chill. You just woke up.
I go through aggressively more shampoo now that my hair is long than I did when it was shorter.
Yeah.
So that's my only barometer.
It's all right. I wash my scalp too. It's all good. Me and my long hair.
No big deal.
No big deal.
No, it's yeah, I'm a huge Bond. I was actually, the reason I knew 7 was because I was on his baseball reference page the other day. Because
Just on a humbug.
yeah, kind of.
He was incredible.
Sometimes I just kind of stare at the numbers and I see stuff that I haven't ever seen before, like that I just haven't picked up on before. I'll do the same thing with. I think it started because somebody asked me about Griffey. Oh, my buddy Jake. I was talking to Jake yesterday, and
Do I know Jake?
I don't think so. I've talked about Jake, but I don't know if you met him.
What's up, Jake?
He's my buddy. That's the Carolina University coach.
Oh, nice.
He's the one I get all the gear from.
So not the old show like Jake and the Fat Man?
No.
Did you ever used to watch that show?
No.
That might have been pre you.
It might have been a little before my time.
Okay, go ahead.
But we were talking about Griffey, and
God, I hate my voice.
we were.
Thing freaking sucks.
I was because he had this. He's a little younger than me,
Mhm.
and so he had this perception of Griffey almost like a Penny Hardaway, like in his head because of the injuries, and he didn't realize how good his his cumulative totals ended up. Right, like 630 home runs. Like he ended up with really good numbers, but there was this what if with Griffey's career that, and I was like, yeah, it's because like if he misses most of 4 seasons in his prime, and people are like, yeah, he really good chance of breaking the home run record if he doesn't have those, right? That's why he's talked about that way. It's not because he still didn't have a great career. And he's like, yeah, well, I wasn't like in it. So he was thinking about Penny. So we were comparing Griffey.
If he just hits 30 home runs a year,
yeah, easy.
Of those 4 years, it's over.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you look at the numbers, because 30 would have been a bad year in that stretch. It would have been an aggressively
That's why I said only
downturn for him, which is kind of crazy to think about. But so then we were comparing Bonds and Griffey, and so I'm on Bonds's baseball reference page, and I get kind of down rabbit holes sometimes with those things. I love baseball reference.
Speaking of which, Shane, we got to get our boy back on, because I don't know if you know what's happened to him, but
who?
So like Jeff Pearlman.
Oh yeah.
So he came up a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about Showtime, and he sent us the books when we used to have him on, because he did the whole Showtime and the Lakers thing. And the book was like, it's as thick as the Bible. Like it's a big, thick book. But I follow him on TikTok, and he
does these like stories.
Right?
Yeah, it's great.
But they're almost never positive.
Yeah.
Right, and people kind of like clap back at him.
They're super interesting, though.
Like this thing about Frank Thomas or Galarraga or whatever, and I'm like,
well, I didn't hear the Galarraga one.
Did he fall out of favor with like the national media? Like, did he go rogue
maybe.
Or like what? Like
what prompted him to tell stories?
I gotta get into the behind the Jeff Pearlman, because he's fascinating.
Did he get laid off?
I don't know, but I think he's fascinating.
He is fascinating. I'm just wondering if he's not covering a beat anymore. Now he feels comfortable.
Because he went down. He tells a lot of Bond stories.
Yeah.
Like, covering guys in the clubhouse and who's crazy, who's not. And
people
told the story of him getting booted at Arizona.
ASU. Yeah, people find Bonds pretty unlikable, and that's fine.
Did you catch his Frank Thomas story?
Yeah. Just everybody hated Frank Thomas, and he was like super selfish and wouldn't.
Okay, so I didn't know anything about Frank Thomas.
Yeah,
I just go by like what I see.
Yeah,
and this is like pre-Nugenics. This is when he was on set.
Oh yeah, for Fox.
And I'm like, he seems unlikable.
Yeah,
but I know nothing, so I'm always afraid to like, because there are some people that nobody likes. That
like universally, or
that I'm like, oh man, they're good to me.
That's
man.
how
like,
I feel about Bonds. I'm just like, not that he's good to me, but like I see Bonds, and
I usually try to save that for. I'm like, because I always want to judge people how they treat me.
Yeah,
right. Like, I mean, I have some running mates where it's like, I don't like that guy. I'm like, dude, he's awesome. Like,
yeah,
don't let that fool you, right? That's just. But that Thomas thing, and he was telling those stories. Like, if you're not TikTok people, I get it, right? I sent one to my coach over a drill the other day, and he's like, I'm not giving China my secrets. That was his response. I was like, dang, is this really a thing? I got to figure out a way to send it over to him other than TikTok. It was a great drill.
Bro, I'm just saying, like.
But if you're not, like, you need to check out Jeff Pearlman. His storytelling is incredible.
If you already have a cell phone, everybody's already got your secrets, bud. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, you hear that, Coach Jensen?
You don't think anybody's selling your data to China? Yeah. Sure. Whatever, bud.
Okay,
That's
okay.
DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll have Sam McKewon up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Here is the sports editor for the Omaha World-Herald, Sam McKewon.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Sam McKewon.
We're gonna throw the ball, and you just stand back there and throw it where you want to go. That kind of thing.
Sam McKewon.
Are you guys going? Sure.
Now, Sam McKewon.
The game is a vehicle. I think that was the biggest lesson. The game is a vehicle, and how you choose to drive it, that's on you. So treating people the right way, the way you conduct yourself, how you present yourself, what type of teammate you are, all of those things you learn from the game. But I mean, that's my dad. Same way anybody else, you got a good dad, pours into you, speaks life into you. But that's dad to me. But anything I need, resources, advice, information, he does everything a father's supposed to do.
Wow. We are back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. We got so caught up in all the other quotables from last week or Friday or Thursday or whatever that I forgot about that, Jim, because what did you and I talk about the last week? It was this whole the thing about family and how everybody brings up family, and we talked about a home versus a house, and I forgot that little gem from Coach Vincent, man. I mean, when you listen to somebody that rarely gets the podium, to speak on kind of what their role is, and you get that little nugget, man, was it like one of those, yeah, this makes sense, or man, this is eerily consistent, or like, what were you thinking when you hear a guy like Vincent Jr. go there through that question?
Yeah, I mean, I thought obviously he's the son of Troy Vincent, the NFL executive and former Wisconsin and NFL player, and so I thought it was an interesting answer, for sure. He tries to, it's probably a really good thing that you have that guy as your father, and then there's probably a lot of feeling responsible for maybe carrying on what he's done. So the younger Vincent wants to do that in the college level, in the college sport, and so yeah, I mean, I think maybe the most interesting thing of that conversation is that he said that he began his working relationship with Matt Rule through a Twitter DM.
Yeah. That
he just reached out to Rule through Twitter. And what I will tell you is that, Rule is probably the most, I don't know how you want to put this, like, he's just the most connected coach that Nebraska has and has ever had as it relates to being reachable through various means, including social media. Like, Rule's a couple years older than me. I don't know what he is, 48, 49.
9, yeah.
Yeah. But, he's very much a young guy at heart when it comes to that aspect of it. And I know he turns off social media during the year and all the rest, but he's pretty reachable, and I think that wasn't true of, honestly, his predecessor. I mean, Scott Frost was often completely unreachable, but also not true of a lot of other coaches within the program. I don't think Fred's particularly reachable that way. So it was interesting to me that's how he built that relationship. And then the other thing, and I asked Troy about this, is that Matt Rule does not just hire you for a job per se. I mean, you are hired for a job, but what he does is he hires people, and he hires personalities and skill sets, and then he will deploy you as a person into specific situations that may be outside of your job description.
Yeah. Because
he's more of a, hey, I'm going to hire these kinds of folks that are wired this way, and then they're going to help in a variety of situations. And so even though Troy Vincent has a title, and I think he spends most of his time at that title, there's a good chance that he's going to ask Troy to do something else too, or he's going to ask his opinion about something that's outside of his purview. And I think that's part of how I think Rule, again, we talk somewhat about his CEO skills, but he is closer to a sort of postmodern CEO than a lot of other coaches are. Like, a lot of other coaches are not good CEOs. They happen to be that, But what they're really good at is like handling 3 or 4 people. Whereas Rule could run a corporation, like probably a tech corporation. I don't know that he'd be a steel magnet, but like he could run one of those because he has sort of that umbrella approach to the people he works with.
Yeah, it's interesting because part of that answer that he was giving about kind of the fatherly thing was he was saying, listen, I had a strong father figure, but there are these things about Coach Rule's personality and his qualities that remind me of being fatherly, right? And I know he was like speaking to my core because I'm thinking to myself, if anything happened to me, like as a male, there's nobody else I would want him around more than Coach Rule, right? Like, it's easy to have impacts in the lives of young people when they don't have a frame of reference of what something's supposed to look like. It's like if you've never had a good meal before, you may get some macaroni. You're like, man, this is fantastic. And you're like, you haven't had such and such. But for folks that have had good influences and they still kind of can refer to Coach Rule as that, like, in addition to, see, that's, in my opinion, that's really where he makes the magic happen, because some coaches can be very predatory, some of it by design, some of it by accident. When kids have a void in their life, and then it's easy to come in and be like, oh, and kids are like captivated, or, oh, I've never had this before. It's a whole different thing when you have that skill set, and then you can also pour into those that have a clear frame of reference, right? Like,
right.
I know how it should feel and look, and yep, you're fitting that bill, right? Like that. I think he's such a quick blinker with regards to being relational in his discernment. He's just making this thing work and growing the culture.
Yeah. So I think that there's definitely those qualities there. I think also too that he's able to, as it relates to his staff, again, he's at the top of the hierarchy, right?
He's gonna get his money's worth, right? He's gonna get his money's worth.
Yeah, he deals well horizontally, like with people who are near his pay level or whatever, Satterfield or his support staff or whatever. He does a pretty good job of again operating that overarching umbrella. Now, again, you got to win games, and a lot of that comes down to the players. And so, so many things that they have done kind of tee themselves up for success. I can walk through and think, well, they're stronger at this spot. They've addressed and resolved the lines. The lines are going to be very good. Those are all good leading indicators. And then you got the quarterback spot. Mm-hmm. And that's the spot where, you have to get a lot better. And that puts so much on a kid, and he's just a kid, I don't know. Did you guys read Bruce Feldman's piece about, the Elite 11 this week?
Yeah.
Okay. So you read the comparisons between the Ohio State commit this year and Dylan Raiola last year.
Yeah.
That was interesting because what the guy said is he's like, well, I don't know if he's quite as like, I don't know what the right word was, talented as Dylan Raiola, but he's more polished because, and according to this quote, it's like Dylan is a grown man who had spent many hours watching Patrick Mahomes, and he's like, he would just sort of sling it around like a middle infielder, and I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty darn good, that's a pretty darn good encapsulation
mm-hmm.
of what you see when you watch Dylan. Like he has got unbelievable size and strength and all these other things, and it does look like he's been watching Mahomes. So, I think that's probably a very good thing. But it was an interesting contrast, and we'll see what happens. This is why this season is so interesting, because so many things have been set up by Rule and by the staff and by current returning players to be a really, really good season. Not just like 6-6, but they should be better than that. But the question becomes, can they get that execution out of a spot where you would be unwise to ask too much of Dylan Raiola. Like, you can't just demand that he's an All-American. Like, you have to be patient there.
I'm telling you, I've been And Ravi, I always have these conversations about this very same thing, whether he needs to be good, great, average. What do we need to surround himself with? Let's get better in special. Like, my whole thing is, because I get it, right? I just heard, Caleb just the other day, he's like, Tad, this guy's ball placement is incredible. Like, his touch, right? You always have to be aware of what's going on in these drills, because he can put it there. And in my head, all I'm thinking of, we hang up the phone, and the first thing I say to myself is, if we can just play catch, right? Like,
Right.
Can you set your feet on 3rd and 5 and hit a swing route and put it on him where he can run after the catch, and we're in business? Or it's 3rd and 7 and that ball's got to be on the sidelines, and you step into it and you put it on him. Like, the spectacular stuff, I don't have any doubts, because he is so talented, right? It's can we, and I'm not saying he can or can't, but that's all I want. I just want, because I think Nebraska, especially if the special teams gets more consistent, if 3rd and 6 doesn't seem daunting and they can play catch between the hashes, like, that's really when you're going to be on to something, because it will just become part of what they expect to do. Right. Oh, they're going to make a play. 3rd and 7. Oh, we're good. Little stick route here. Choice route. Just put it on him. Little option route. He's going to be open. Just hit him. Right. That's what I think. Just little, like, stuff like that.
I think that's a great point. Yes. I mean, the point about it, that you come to expect it, and that there's a momentum to executing on 3rd down is absolutely true. Like, it's infectious.
I mean, did you ever think Michigan was getting off the field when it was like 3rd and 6 or less? It's like, oh, they're converting this.
No,
they're gonna somehow find a way to convert this. It's not enough.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And they don't have. Well, there's differing opinions on how good J.J. McCarthy is going to be at the next level, but they didn't have a 1st-round receiver. They didn't have Marvin Harrison or Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave. Like, Ohio State has players that are so good that it didn't really matter what the quarterback was doing. But there was a period of time where Ohio State had C.J. Stroud and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and just Marvin Harrison. They're all on the field at the same time.
Yeah,
which is amazing, right? Like, that's amazing football. And there was a moment in time where they had that on the
Not
field.
to mention, you have one of the best tight ends in the conference. But yeah, keep going.
Right. So Michigan didn't have that. Michigan just had incredible execution and incredible confidence. And so, and Michigan was often in 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, but no, they did an incredible job. So the question becomes, how do you get that kind of play from Raiola, and do you feel like everything else is coming along? And they have the potential to have a really good season. I'm not predicting that, but I think there's a lot of people around here, because they really like Rule, and they see what he's doing, that will be like, hey, they won 6, be happy. And I'm just telling you, this team has the potential to be really good if they get the quarterback play. They have the potential to win 9 or 10 games. Now, if you ask ESPN FPI what they think, Nebraska might win only 6, because they think Colorado is going to be good, and the analytics say that Nebraska plays a lot of good teams that are right in that 30 or 40 range, and they got to find a way to beat them. But Nebraska could win 6. Nebraska could win 9 or 10. It's out there. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if Raiola is good, the ceiling is pretty high.
We're talking with Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. All right, Sam, I'm going to give you some numbers from real-life true freshman starting quarterbacks, and you tell me if that was Raiola, what that means to you in terms of how good this team can be.
Is this all things being
equal?
Same special teams from last year, same defense?
Yeah, same special teams, same defense from last year. And I give you these numbers out of Dylan Raiola. What does this equate to in your head? This is a real guy in the last 10 years starting at quarterback as a true freshman. Right at 60% completion percentage, 3,300 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
They'll win 10 games.
That sounds like Adrian Martinez to me.
It's a little high on
It's not.
passing yards for Adrian.
33's high.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not Adrian, because he was like 28 or 29. That's a true freshman?
That's a true freshman.
I don't know. Who is that? Hank Bachmeyer or something?
No, that's Josh Rosen at UCLA.
Wow.
And so,
wow.
What was their record?
2015.
They only won like 7 or 8 games, right?
2015 UCLA. Let me
Wow.
check.
They
So
were 8-5.
that's yeah, and you know what? Because we saw them right after that in the bowl.
Yeah.
They were 8-5. Yep.
Yeah. That's a deep cut.
Well,
I would not have guessed
defense
that.
was-
I would
was
not
not
have
very
guessed that
good.
though.
Yeah. UCLA's defense wasn't very good. But yeah, if those numbers translate to the Big Ten, they're really, really, really good.
Give them another one.
Like that's a 10 win. That's a 10 win.
Especially if the defense is what it was last year, right? I mean, that's the big difference with Raiola versus some of these other guys that we've seen.
Because at first blush, Sam, I'm not gushing over 20-9, but that's fine. I'll take 2-1.
Yeah, that's a little. I mean, it's a little better than a lot of these guys. Okay, here's another one.
Really good.
This is a. Let's go. It's hard to find guys that actually played that much as true freshmen because it doesn't happen as often as we think. Here's a good one. Okay, I think you'll like this. 65% completion, 2,600 yards, but 24 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions.
God, that's spectacular. 65%.
Yeah, you're once again in that 9 or 10 win range. That's
who took that good.
that's where
Who
you set
took
it up.
that good a care of the ball as a freshman?
You're gonna love this. Hold on, let me
6-1.
Yeah, let me make sure. Let me find how good the team was real quick. They were really good. That is your college football national champion 2018 Clemson Tigers with Trevor Lawrence.
24-4.
Yeah, true freshman.
Huh. I'm surprised at how fewer yards that generated.
Yeah, 2,600 yards seemed low.
Huh.
Well, he started some, and then
yeah, he didn't
the other
start
guy
the
was there.
whole year.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
That's
The other quarterback left like halfway through the season and went to.
what was that guy's name? Oh shoot,
The 4 turnovers.
Kelly.
Yes, you're right. And then Dabo wouldn't give him a championship ring. He went to Missouri. I can't remember what his full name, but yeah.
Hey, so
There were only 4 quarterbacks in the Big Ten last year that had more than 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, if you get to 20 touchdowns in the Big Ten, you're doing good. I mean, like that's going to be a good number.
But Sam, so part of this discussion is why I'm trying to get Ravi to come around to the good side. That if Nebraska just increases, I don't know, if they go from like a 4.5 to a 7 in special teams, monumentally what a difference that could make in Nebraska's season without needing to get great quarterback play. They could just get good quarterback play.
Yeah, good would be fine.
That's kind of what I think. I think good would be fine.
Yeah, the challenge with special teams is there are elements that you really can't control as a coach, and that's basically that it's like a golfer's swing. Like you can't control it. You can do everything you want to do, but then the guy's got to go out there and he's got to hit the shot.
Yeah,
and I compare it to golf.
the whole tactical versus technical.
Yeah, like are you going to go out and make kicks or
the
not?
plan versus the execution.
You have to go out and make a good swing.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no other way to. There's no other way. Like you got to put. You can put the club in the guy's hands and you can coach him all the way up it. But then Tristan Alvano's got to go out there and it's a 46-yard field goal on the right half. He can't pull a ball. He's had that already where he pulled it a little bit. And that's natural. That Drew Brown at times had an issue in practice with a right hash kick because you can't just leave it out there and let it come back. So you can't draw it. You got to pull it a little bit. If you started outside the post, you got to draw it in. That's risky. So you kind of got to put it on a path. And sometimes you put it on a path and you pull it. So like he's got to get better at that. And then their punter, whoever their punter is, has to be really, really good all the time. Like the punting piece is a huge weapon. And if you get an elite punter, you get what Iowa did. Iowa won 10 games last year based on the strength of its defense and its punter. They had the worst offense that anyone has ever seen from a power conference team. And they won 10 games because of their defense and their punter. And so, like, you have to – and that's another thing where you hope you just recruit the right guys and they can come in. And maybe Sam Cook's son is – that he's in our camp countdown, or he was in our honorable mentions, because there is a chance he comes in and he's great, and they'll just have to play him. Because it's not one of those, like, you got to earn your spurs thing. If you can come in and place a punt 49 yards downfield, 5 yards from the out of bounds marker, you're going to play, because it's like going out on a course and scoring a score. So the punting piece is an area where Nebraska has not been great for a long time. It's since Brett Maher left, they haven't been great there, and they were great there for many years. And that's one area with, it's hard to replicate, because how many Brett Mahers come along? Not very many. How many Alex Henrys come along? Not many. And they had 2 in a row, and they were a little spoiled.
Sam, let me ask you this: if you had to choose between a punter like you're talking about, a guy that can do all those things, or a dynamic punt returner, which one are you taking?
The punter, because a punter can render a punt returner obsolete. You can kick a punt so well that it doesn't make any difference who the returner is. It could be Dion. It could be Johnny Rogers. There are punters so good today, and Torrey Taylor allowed some returns, just so we're clear, like 200 yards of returns or something like that. But there are punters who are so good today that they can take you out of the game. Like they're just the guy at Rutgers just takes you out of games, took you out of games because you couldn't return. Now, there are good, yes, of course, there are great punt returners, but I think people would be hard pressed to name the best punt returner in college football last year, and maybe this is because the best punter was at Iowa, but I think more people could name the best punter in the country last year versus the best punt returner. And that wasn't true 25 years ago, but now it is, because the punters are so good.
Sam, we appreciate.
Who was the best punt returner?
Branch from USC.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on the Jet Award, so I'll give you the Jesus from TCU too. Like, I mean, he
wasn't there a really good guy from Toledo also?
Yeah, Jesus was spectacular.
But yeah, your point's well taken though, Sam.
You got Jaden Harrison from Marshall.
The Marshall is good. Sam, we appreciate the time.
That's good stuff, Sam. Good stuff.
We will talk to you again next week.
All right, take care.
You should have been riding with him, man. It's a lot easier. Nobody remembers good special teams, but at least he nailed the Rutgers punter because he was good.
Yeah,
and that's why they win.
I've got some more freshman QB comparisons if you want to get into those next here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and we are here on the Pillar Exterior stage. Wanted to stick with the freshman quarterback thing we were talking about with Sam for just a second, because we've been talking a lot about, okay, what does Dylan Raiola need to be in order for Nebraska to, let's just call it 8 wins, because that's the number I keep putting out there. To get to 8 wins, what does Nebraska need Dylan Raiola to be? And obviously that depends a lot on what's going on around him. Let's say the defense is equal to a little bit worse. Let's say they're top 30 and
few more turnovers.
Yeah.
Not as good
on points per game, or not as good in short change situations or whatever, right? I think the numbers can look a little different, and effectively they're about the same defensively. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hypothetical. Yeah, I got no problem.
Because I understand there's going to be some situations where they're a little bit worse, but maybe they get off the field on third down.
And there were stretches last year where they were incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
But somebody who made the point last week or 2 weeks ago. Well, they're like, well, yeah, I get what you're saying, DB, but on paper, they're better in a lot of spots.
Yeah, I agree.
So then I was like, yeah, that's a good point. But now there's also tape too.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, they can actually build on what they did last year.
Yeah, it's not going to be as basic.
So that could be the great. Yeah. So I'll give you whatever
Call it about the same.
Yeah,
effectively
I'll give
about
her
the
what
same.
I'll give you whatever.
Special teams, hopefully they're a little better, but let's call that about the same also. If Dylan Raiola gives you those Josh Rosen numbers that I gave Sam, he said 10 wins. That seemed a little high to me.
It did. It's 20-9 with 3,300 yards. Sounds, is that what it was? I'm just going by memory. Okay.
Right at 60% completion.
10 does sound high.
Definitely 8, though. I feel really good about 8 at those numbers.
Yeah.
And you could talk me into a little bit more. 10's probably the upside there, like the high end, but I feel really good about 8. Let's go. So Christian Hackenberg had really similar numbers.
Stop.
He did. He was 59%, 2,900 yards, 20 and 10.
I just don't think 59%. Okay. I'm not going to pick it apart just because I didn't like his.
How it looked with Hackenberg.
Yeah.
I've
watched. So that's one of those guys like that I went darn near to blows over.
There, because everybody thought he was super good and you didn't like him.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about here.
So there's just not a ton of true freshmen that are cracking 60%. You get a lot of guys in the high 50s. Trevor Lawrence is an outlier. You get
even with so much of the quick game and RPO.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
First of all, you don't have a ton of true freshmen as your primary starters in general.
I don't know what that word means. So, like, let's say since 2015, how many have there been? 10, 12,
so
50?
10. I'm going back to 2013 as your guys that have played in at least 10 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 8.
That are statistically charting worthy, or have just played.
That played the majority of the games as a true freshman.
That's
it's not a lot.
No, it's not.
And 4 of those 8,
it's significantly less than I would have guessed.
4 of those 8 came in 2018, 2019 with this stretch of JT Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. Like Justin Fields played.
I forgot about JT Daniels.
He was okay as a true freshman. He was okay.
Yeah, the hype was.
So let me give you JT Daniels numbers.
Okay.
Right at 60% again.
He's 18, right?
2018. Yep.
Okay.
Right at 60%. 2,600 yards, almost 27. Call it 27. 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. What does that get Nebraska?
That's not very good.
It's not great. I think you could call it average.
14 and 10?
I mean, if you take them in their entirety, 2,700 yards, 60%, 14 and 10.
Yeah, I don't know why I want to be so hard on that. I think because as an SEC guy, I'm like, this looks awful.
Let me ask you this though. Is that what you would consider when you're talking about Dylan Raiola only needing to be average? Is that in the neighborhood of what you're talking about?
So the key for that is touchdowns to interceptions.
Okay.
I just don't think that ratio. I think that's below average.
Let me give you this one. I'll let you guess who it is if you can figure it out. 2,400 yards, 57% completion, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
I like the 3-1 or the 2-8.
Yeah,
2-8 6-1 or whatever that is.
Only 2,400 yards and 57% completion. So you're missing on some.
Okay, but do you know why the total yards doesn't bother me as much as you may think at first blush? Because maybe you're running the ball.
Sure, that's possible.
Do
you want to know who that guy was?
Yeah, give it to
Bo
me.
Nix.
Yeah, he was something else. I remember when he took the stage by storm as a freshman
against Oregon.
Opener. Yeah.
Yep.
And then it was the inability. What was his completion percentage?
57.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
Makes sense because in my head I'm like, he just misses too many throws.
Yeah.
He just missed way too many throws.
If that's Dylan Raiola this year,
I don't know if this offense
can
function at 57%. Because, and we're in we're kind of in the weeds here, but it ultimately may matter. So I love the touchdowns to interception ratio. I'm just not sure what 57% gets you because I think one of the keys for this team is to extend drives on third down.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to convert a lot more 3rd and 4s. I think you have to convert 3rd and 5s.
Mm-hmm.
And so just because I envisioned them, you know, a little run actions, a little more vertical passing game. So I'm willing to give up a little of the percentages, but 57% seems low if I want you to convert 43, 44% of your third downs. And I think that's where they have to be in the Big Ten.
There's only 3 guys on this list out
Now
of
you got to remember in 18, man, JT Daniels throwing to guys like, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had Michael Pittman Jr. Like, I don't know, man. I know that 18 team. I wouldn't use them. But I get it because he was a freshman starter.
True freshman starter. You don't have a ton of examples.
He held the ball all the time.
There's only 3 guys on this list that played significant playing time as true freshmen that are above 60% completion.
Yeah.
That's the number, because you get kind of a wide variety of everything else in terms of passing yards, in terms of touchdown interception ratios. That's the most common thing here is they miss some throws.
And so my thing, you know, it's what I was telling you and AR when you asked me. This was a long time ago. This is on the other half of the other
probably December
2023. Yeah. I'm like, just give me 60% completion percentage. Because I think that gets you in the discussion of efficiency. And with this team, the way that they want to play, I mean, you can tell if you listen to me. Like, I'm big into efficient. Just be efficient. You don't have to be spectacular.
So if I give you
be efficient
from Dylan Raiola, if I give you 60% completion, because I think that's reasonable. There's 2 more guys right at 50% or 60%, so I'll call it 60%. I'm going to call it 2,700 yards.
Okay.
And I will give you.
Just give me 22 and 9.
I was going to give you 18 and 10.
I think the cutoff is 2-1.
That's why I gave you 18 and 10.
You got again. Depends on how it looks, but I think 2-1. I'd feel a lot more comfortable about. Yep.
So let me ask you this: you've got.
I just don't know if I could see him turning it over. I don't know. But it depends. Deflections, like, I don't want to get bogged down in that. But
so when you say Dylan Raiola needs to be average, what does that? I mean, in your mind, what numbers does that look like? 60%,
60, 27, 2010.
Okay. Can I give you Adrian Martinez numbers because we all thought he had a really good.
Was he 24-9?
He was 17 and 8.
I'm counting rushing, but go ahead.
2,600 yards. He did complete 65% of his passes.
Yeah. And he gets to the magic 2-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Just barely.
But I'm telling you, it's a big difference.
He did add 600 yards rushing and 8 rushing touchdowns, which you're not probably going to get. I mean, you're not getting 600 yards. You may get a little bit of scrambling from Raiola, but you're not going to get 600 yards.
I saw somebody make the comparison to take Allen over Mahomes, and I almost stopped scrolling. But then, like, kind of this hanger-oner thing was Allen's ability to run the ball for 600 yards a season. And I'm like, God, that seems like a lot for a quarterback not named Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, just go look at his turnovers, though. You'll get cured of that real quick.
Allen,
not Jackson. Yeah.
Talk about going down rabbit holes.
Coming up next, I want to get into.
And we got a handle too as a fan base. If the numbers don't look like we want them to, and they're still winning, that's something to be said for a guy that's that age. So don't put the unrealistic expectations on Dylan either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've put any crazy numbers out there yet.
Not yet.
Coming up next, let's talk a little NBA draft ahead of our conversation with Baylor Scheierman here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and we're brought to you by the Team Jack Foundation. Make sure you get to teamjackfoundation.org to check out everything they've got going on and see how you can get involved with their goals of finding better treatments for childhood brain cancer and one day a cure. You can volunteer. You can find out how to volunteer. You can donate right on the page there, or you can find out what events they've got coming up. You can also see what they're involved in, so you can see where your money's going and how you can be most helpful. That's teamjackfoundation.org. All right, we're going to talk to Baylor Scheierman here in about 15 minutes. So I wanted to get into a little bit of NBA draft talk. And it is, to put it kindly, a rough year in the draft. Mm-hmm. There's no consensus on who the top pick's going to be. There is absolutely no home run picks at all. And you look at the names of guys that are creeping up these draft boards, guys like, if they're even guys you've heard of, like Donovan Clingan and Stephon Castle. I didn't look at either of those guys and be like, oh, yeah, that's a top 3 guy. Yeah. That's a top 5 guy.
Although I haven't seen one mock that has Castle lower than 6.
Not now, not anymore. When he was at the end of the regular season, he was a back-end lottery.
Oh, wait a second. Before we do this.
Yes.
Is this us?
Oh.
Shane, is that current? Are you producing?
Do we have a caller, Shane?
Yeah, we just got him. Why, you want to go to him?
Yeah, my
Sure.
bad. I didn't want to get into this and leave.
No, 100%. Let's get to Cody. He is calling 888-638-4876. Got some talk on the QB comparison before we move on to NBA draft. What's up, Cody?
What's going on, gentlemen? Been a while.
Oh, hello. How are
you
well
doing?
when we're not texting? You're right. This is the first time I've heard your voice in a while.
Yeah, no. So usually I give about once a week.
Yeah, man. How are we doing?
We're doing good.
How was Father's Day? Did you buy any shoulder pads? I mean,
no.
Do they make shoulder pads for 2-year-olds, or like how does that go?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Just haven't looked in the right spot. He did get some camouflage Crocs that he will not let you take off of him.
Oh no, poor kid.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
Hey, so I missed the front end, so you might have used this comparison, but 66%, 3,100 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Say that again.
66% I caught.
3,100 yards.
Yep. 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Okay, there's the 2-1.
3-1, right? 18-6. Is that what you said?
Oh, I was thinking 18-9.
Yep.
Sorry, Jamie.
What
my mathematician online is going to slap my wrist.
What year are we talking?
That's. I'm definitely taking that.
So the record's going to be skewed. That's Jarrett Stidham year 1 under Rule.
I'm definitely taking that. That is a heck of a comp.
I would 100% take that. No questions asked.
Yeah, I mean, I know the record is skewed because they were 1-12 or whatever, 1-11.
See, that's amazing. That just further proves my point, though, Commander Cody, because we put all this pressure on Raiola, where he better be this or he's got to be that, and I'm always gonna maintain, if we build around him like we should with a freshman quarterback, it shouldn't have to be like that, because those are pretty good numbers for Stidham statistically.
Yeah, and I know that was Stidham's sophomore year, but that was year 1 under Rule. And the other thing is, I feel like the way Rule has treated this whole thing is he's going to be run heavy and slowly engage, Raiola. If that makes sense, what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe. So I kind of, why I hope you're right is because I hope the offensive line continues to evolve, but it's hard not to fall in love with this wide receiving core. So like they might be those guys where you're sitting around as a coordinator and you're like, all right, I got to get am I thinking plays or players? I may have to get my players the ball. So you know what I mean? So I think discipline and context will matter. But I kind of hope you're right.
And I think it would be more on the plays, because Rule, the way he talks and the way we've seen is the way he's going in practice with full contact and everything is it's next guy up for him. It doesn't matter if you're the 5-star guy coming in or if you're a walk-on.
It's a good point.
He's treating everyone the same, and it's all about his plays and his offense and his scheme.
Yep. All right, Cody.
That's all I have for you guys.
I got you.
I haven't talked to you guys in a while.
Good. Be safe out there.
Yep. See you guys.
Appreciate the call, Cody. Yeah, I would take those numbers for sure.
Good dude.
100%.
Don't think he won't try to find shoulder pads for a 2-year-old. He might. I don't know if they make them like that.
You think so?
Yeah, I would take those numbers.
100%. I would also take Adrian's numbers.
18-6 would be.
That'd be phenomenal. I'd take that all day. No questions asked.
Again, though, I do think there's something where as a fan base, well, we're going to have to know how to consume without making these sweeping judgments on potential.
Yeah.
Still year 1 in a new system for an 18-year-old.
Yeah. That's going to be.
And it's not like, DB, don't protect the. No, I'm not protecting anybody. Sometimes you just have to be smarter.
Well, and I mean, look at the conversation we were just having about there's a lot of really talented dudes that ended up having really good careers, didn't do much as true freshmen.
And the goal is, I think if you're a Nebraska fan base, is number 1 is rack up wins.
Wins first.
2 is play in any sort of way in which he's a 3-year starter and then gets to declare. Because then it really hit on all cylinders.
Here's a guy that ended up being
build up wins.
Yep.
Be a 3-year starter. go rep the league.
Here's a guy that ended up being pretty good at quarterback in the NFL or in college and is in the NFL now. 60%, 700 total yards, 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. That's a true freshman.
How many games?
8 games.
Ooh, 5 and 7. What conference?
Would have been Big 12 at the time. I think still. Right on the board. I don't remember what year they changed.
That should be the great giveaway.
That's a beautiful question.
Did he play more than 4 years because of a transfer?
He did transfer. He didn't play more than 4 years.
Baker Mayfield?
The other one. Same destination. Kyler.
Dang it.
You always forget he went to A&M.
I did forget that.
You always forget.
I knew it was one of the, fudge.
Yeah.
Fudge.
That dude won a Heisman. That was his true freshman year.
Huh.
So, like, there's.
The more you know.
Let's see. There's some stinkers in here of guys that ended up being good.
Stinkers.
Like, there's some doo-doo in here.
Yeah.
With guys that we like, guys. And a lot of it's guys that.
Dude, you are so your mom's child. Who says stinkers in 2024 other than like your mom or my mom? You're such a stinker.
Yeah, right. And then on the same page, you have Christian Hackenberg put pretty good numbers as a true freshman. And I don't know that any of us, like, if we were like, hey, Dylan Raiola is going to be Christian Hackenberg, all of us would be like, oh, God, no.
No, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
But you would take those numbers this year, wouldn't you?
I'm telling you. But by the time this thing is over and we get to fall and we're rolling, like, you're going to be so build up the other pieces around the quarterback and get away from the quarterback play. Now, I get it. The natural gravitational pull won't let you, but you're going to have to lock in and be focused. It's going to be a lot of Raiola talk. Focus on the other pieces first. That part will come. That part will come.
Sooner it comes, the better it is.
Well, you want a year 1 to year 2, how we think differently. I mean, Coach McGuire wasn't everybody's favorite a year ago.
Yeah.
I told you that guy could coach.
I mean, same thing with Donnie.
And that dude's wide receiving core a year later, we're like, oh, God, I can't wait. I hope they throw it to him 65 times. No, we're not going to be that bad, but
that might be the best unit on the team.
See, okay.
It might be.
I'm not even entertaining that because of production.
That's why I said might be. It is not currently the best unit on the team. It might end up being the best unit on the team.
Yeah, it's still got to be more productive. Now listen, I could see the comment section and social media and everything else. Well, part of that is the quarterback's got to get him the ball. Okay, I get it.
Might end up being the best
quarterback
unit on
has
the
to
team.
get him the ball too.
Might. Now I'm really on the D line. I really like the O line, but that wide receiver group, and I'm including the tight ends, the pass catching group.
Do you find yourself like we're really not? It's like we shrug our shoulders over like Turner Corcoran and Mazuka, and it's like
I don't think we know what to do with Corcoran because of the
I'm
injury.
like, really, guys?
I don't think we know about the health on Corcoran. I think is the
so we totally just slid over the fact that he was healthy, full cleared.
Yeah,
on Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's been the holdup though on people is they didn't know where he was at. Mazuka's a good one though because like that guy started SEC games and we're like, whatever.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because this was Friday at the downtown. I'm thinking to myself, who are we more indifferent about?
Okay.
Malcolm Hartzog, Gabe Ervin, or Turner Corcoran?
I'm the most indifferent about Gabe Ervin, me personally, because I like Hartzog a lot, and I know he's going to be important back there, regardless of what position he plays or both positions. Corcoran,
we act like we've had this embarrassment of riches, and we can afford to thumb our nose. It's incredible how we view those three guys.
Corcoran, as I think, pending health, having him in that room is really, really great. The guy that I like, Irvin's not one of the top 3 guys I think about in that room.
Unbelievable.
I'm not saying he shouldn't be, but
no,
I'm
just telling you, this is not my personal opinion when I say unbelievable. Like, I think he's this. I'm just saying, like, we haven't been good enough to have anybody be an afterthought yet.
Totally fair. Incredible talk on the NBA draft right there. Coming up next, we got Baylor Scheierman.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Scheierman back up the center of the floor. Scheierman outside Ashworth. Ashworth stops, gives it to Baylor, steps into a three. Bang! Here's Scheierman all the way in. Hammer slam right through the keyhole. And then a near steal in the backcourt. Oh, Baylor Scheierman. Trey still outside the arc. Now looks to get into the paint. Wrap into the corner. Here's another three. Baylor! 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 Oh, baby! I love Baylor Scheierman.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. John Bishop loves Baylor Scheierman, and we love John Bishop, but we're right now talking to Baylor Scheierman, now former Creighton Blue Jay and NBA draft prospect. Baylor, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Baylor, it is so cool, like on a personal level, going from doing your broadcast in the state finals for football to talking NBA draft. I'm in my head this morning driving in. I'm tempted, and you don't have to address it because I know you don't talk about yourself a ton. I'm tempted to kind of rank this in the pantheon of athletes that have come through this state. Like, if you just say out loud the accomplishments from then to now, man, it's incredible. Like, statistically, absolutely incredible. It's almost silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I've been blessed with a lot of great, teammates and coaches throughout my whole high school and then obviously college career. Like you said, in high school, I felt like I was a very underrated football player in the state. I felt like, especially my senior year, I didn't necessarily get a lot of love that I thought I deserved necessarily from like Lincoln and Omaha areas. But I'm just thankful for the journey, man. It's been a blessing.
I'm just going to stay with it because you threw me a lifeline here, so I feel good about this. I remember during the broadcast one time, you had scrambled left and you kind of flicked the ball about, I don't know, it was about 60 yards. And I'm talking to our play-by-play, and I'm like, you guys realize his heel was on the ground. He flicks that thing 70 yards. It's on a rope. It's laughable. I wonder how much he'd like to play football in college. So I'll ask you, when did you know that football wasn't going to be your thing and it was going to be basketball? I'll tell you the play. You threw it along the left side, going to your left, down the field along the left sidelines. And do you remember that play?
No, I do. Yep, I remember it vividly. Yeah, I remember it vividly.
Yep. And I'm what was the moment?
I think I really knew that I was closing the door on football. So obviously I committed to South Dakota State my junior year for basketball, but obviously my senior year I was having a great football season, and I would have given it some thought. I went to Nebraska on a game day visit, and while I was there, they wanted me to watch the tight ends. And that's
man.
And that's when I was like, you know what? Screw this. I was just in the middle of obviously having this unbelievable season, like breaking records, and I felt very confident in my abilities to play quarterback. And I came in there, and obviously, like at the time, it's 2019. We're struggling as Nebraska football. We're struggling, and they want me to play tight end. I took it as kind of a shot at me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna close the door on that avenue.
Must be rough to have options. Further cements my thought process on. In about 10 years, you're going to age beautifully. This thing will have to get ranked, and it will be impressive. I think. No, I'm serious. I think. I think you'll be blown away.
Baylor, when you showed up at Creighton, and obviously I knew about the basketball exploits at SDSU, and I knew you'd played football in high school, but I wasn't really into the high school scene at that point. And so I think you know Jacob Padilla a little bit.
Yeah.
He goes. I was tweeting about. I think this was during your exhibition at Creighton. I was tweeting about a pass that you made, and he goes, "Yeah, you should have seen him play high school quarterback. You should go check out his numbers." And so I looked him up, and I go, "Though that's a typo." I go, "That's a typo. That's not correct." He goes, and 3,900 yards and 59 touchdowns. I go, "That's a typo, Jacob. That there's no possible way in 13 games that's correct." And he's like, "No, that's right." And I was like, "Well, why didn't you just go get the 60th touchdown? I mean, come on, Baylor, what are we doing?"
I just remember getting ready for that prep for that game for the finals, and I told Putney, I go, it's unfair. I said, because you were elusive, fast, tough. I'm like, this is, and not to mention your wide receiving core was silly. I'm like,
I had 5 guys that I could throw the ball to.
Yeah.
And like you said, I was just running around back there and then just launching it 60 yards. But what's crazy, honestly, like you said, I don't want to talk on myself, but we played 13 games and 10 of them we didn't even play the second half.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So like you really think about it, I honestly believe if we would have, like, obviously sportsmanship aside and everything, we would have just kept playing, I could have had 80 plus touchdowns.
Oh,
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. I mean, like, had you played even third quarters, you're looking at like 5,000 yards and 80 touchdowns.
I was asking your coach. I remember asking your coach he's like, hey, which game films do you want? Because I usually want like 3 or 4. And I was like, I don't know. Can we just start with the most competitive? It doesn't matter if it's early. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just wanted some good measurables.
Yeah.
Well, it must be rough. And here we are getting ready for the draft.
I want to say, and all that to say, all the football exploits, you're about to make your way into the NBA, which is kind of an incredible journey, not just because of, obviously you start off at South Dakota State and then you make your way back to the state of Nebraska and Creighton. But, like I was a guy last year and I was hearing from a lot of people when you're making your decision on whether to come back to Creighton for a year or go to the draft last year, that a lot of people are like, yeah, he probably is what he is as a prospect, and probably his stock's probably not going to change that much. But the work you put in over the summer to, transform your body a little bit, I think you totally changed the way people view you as a defender over the course of the season. Like, when you're hearing a lot of people talk about like, he's on the older side for the draft, maybe like at what point did you say, hey, I really can get better? I know there's more in there. Like, how did that process happen last year? Because I think not a lot of people were on that page.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, obviously like my first year at Creighton was great. We went to the Elite Eight, and it was a very fun year. But for me personally, I thought there was, like you said, things to improve on for me. And I felt like, obviously the NBA, it's a business at the end of the day. And I wanted to be 100% feeling my best and feeling the most prepared when I stepped foot into that area. And I felt like coming back to Creighton for one more year, and like you said, getting with Jeremy Anderson, our strength coach, in the spring and summer, and really working on my body, on my lateral quickness, on my explosiveness, and really just trying to get that little edge to kind of just push me, over the hump in a way. And then continuing to improve my skills as a shooter, finding different ways to get shots off, different finishes around the rim. Like, I just got better overall as a basketball player. And I felt like the transition from South Dakota State to Creighton my first year, I didn't have that summer because I went through the NBA draft process. So I kind of lost that spring and summer to really just work on myself. And so last summer, I didn't go through the process again. I just stayed in Omaha and really just went to work, and it kind of just paid dividends for me.
I'm a big body type guy, not just measurables, but like transformations. And I remember saying at the beginning of the season, just your frame was incredible. And I think the running joke for Mac sometimes is, or Coach Mac is, he'd always reference strength and conditioning because we would reference strength and conditioning. He's like, I think he was probably thinking, well, at some point, Jeremy, those guys, they're pretty good. But when you put, and I said this about Coach Mac, this is a couple years ago, especially the way that he was hitting on the transfer portal in the market. I said to Ravi and some of these guys locally, it's almost impossible to get worse under Mac's watch when it comes to development and skills and how he gets guys better. But then you pit it with kind of the strength and conditioning the last couple of years and how you guys train. Now, talk about how advantageous it was to choose Creighton at this time where you wanted to take your game to another level and you're getting development in all facets.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a big reason why I chose to come to Creighton. I mean, obviously, when I transferred out of South Dakota State, I could have went anywhere. And obviously, it's home, so that was a big deal. But then, like you said, I mean, we have everything you want at Creighton in terms of facility-wise. And then on top of that, Coach Mac, the system he runs, it's an NBA-style system, so you get a feel for how it's going to be, when you transfer up to that next step. And then, like you said, strength and conditioning wise, I mean, Jeremy Anderson, he's one of the best, if not the best in the country in the college ranks, and he could be at the professional level. if he really wanted to. So having all that accumulated in one spot, like, just gave me the best chance for me to excel in my game in the weight room and on the court, and ultimately put me in the position I am right now to hear my name called in the NBA draft.
Baylor, how fine a line is it between freedom of movement and the type of offensive philosophies that translate from college to NBA like Coach Mack has versus discipline? How fine a line is freedom of movement and autonomy to discipline?
Yeah, it's Coach Mack, he's very specific about the type of players he recruits because, he gives his players a lot of freedom to play, and he trusts his players to know how to play the game the right way in terms of spacing and movement. And so, you say freedom and then discipline. I put discipline in the category of just like IQ and ability to understand the game. And I think, it is a fine line between being able to have freedom, but then also understanding the game at a high level to be able to go out there and play without a lot of, we're going to run these sets. You have to go here, here, and here, and do this and this and this at this particular time.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're talking with Baylor Scheierman, former Creighton Blue Jays, getting ready for the NBA draft.
Baylor, how much of like your spatial awareness and seeing the court comes from doing so many other things your whole life other than just basketball, right? Like way you see things in pieces move, that's not just a basketball thing.
Yeah, no, it isn't. And, part of it is I just been given, a gift from God to be able to honestly just have that instinct. But I go back to just my football days too. Damon said this on the broadcast in our state championship, we played basketball on grass, it really was. In terms, basketball or football wise, I'm back there in the pocket and I have to know every receiver's routes. I have to know what the defensive coverage is. I have to know what the routes to beat that coverage is, and just having that, being able to process that so quickly, especially on the basketball court, and then just add in like chemistry as well. Like it's both of those sports helped me a lot with one another, if that makes sense.
It's just interesting. I would watch ball placement as a quarterback, then I would watch delivering balls in the shooting pocket, or the guy's got his left hand up, he wants it in that palm. That's where the ball goes for you. How you could bounce pass a ball on a fast break, almost like passing it down a hallway, right? Just like these very narrow corridors. I'm like, I don't even know if you teach that. I suppose you could practice it, but sometimes it's just the feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a feel thing, and like when I was growing up, watching like Pistol Pete when I was super young.
Oh my goodness!
Like I saw the passes he would make, and then like when I'm playing in my YMCA rec league when I was 5, like I'm trying out. So like there's been a lot of trial and error to get to where I'm at right now for sure. But it's definitely a feel thing for sure.
Baylor, as you kind of go through this process and you kind of were the star of the NBA draft combine. It seems like that was sort of a defining moment for you as you're on your journey as a prospect. Obviously, we know all the work that went into it to get there, but what's the experience been like for you? And obviously, I know you went through this process once before, but what's it been like this time when it seems like you've got a lot of momentum going for you at this point in the process, and just how have those interactions been like as you're talking with teams and going out to all these workouts?
Yeah, well, I think one, it's just been a lot of fun. Obviously it's my second time around, so I kind of knew what to expect. And I feel like I'm at a completely different place this time around than I was last time in terms of just me as a person and me as a basketball player, which kind of has just given me that confidence to, go out and just play free almost in a sense. And like you said, the NBA Combine week was a lot of fun. Obviously, I opened a lot of eyes. But for me, I wasn't really surprised. But obviously, There were a lot of people surprised at how well I did. And then even through the continuation of the pre-draft process into these team workouts I've been going to, I think I've just opened a lot of eyes just by, my personality and just by how I play. So I've really enjoyed it. And I'm hearing a lot of great things, which is what you want, obviously, leading up to the draft in a couple days.
Baylor, so I'm curious, as you're going through the process a couple years ago coming out of South Dakota State, was there a moment in which you were like, oh, hey, maybe I'm not as ready for this as maybe I thought I was, versus how you feel now where you've gone through this work with Jeremy and been in Creighton's system for a couple years, played at a super high level? I mean, you played against Donovan Clingan and Stephon Castle that look like they're both going in the lottery at UConn. Yeah. Obviously a ton of high-end guys at the Big East. Like, was there a moment a couple years ago where you're like, oh, I've got some work to do?
Yeah, I think I got invited to the G League Elite Camp 2 years ago, which is like the one before the Combine. Mm-hmm. And I really kind of struggled just because I wasn't really prepared for how it was going to be. I had no idea what to expect. But then when I got there, I was just like, wow, this is just way different than I thought it was. And that's when I was kind of like, there's a lot of work for me to be done to grow individually and as a basketball player. And then, like you said, these past 2 years of Creighton have just given me the ultimate confidence, because I'm playing in one of, if not the best basketball conference in the country. And I'm going against all these guys who are high recruits or, like you said, lottery picks. And I'm doing well. I was an All-American this year, which has just, given me the ultimate confidence in myself that, I really do belong here, and which gives me the ability to just play free in whatever circumstances I'm in.
Baylor, you're such an interesting, fascinating person to talk to, because you've been good your whole life. So the fit question, it's always weird for me to kind of shape the fit question, but if Baylor has to write a letter to, younger Baylor, and he's choosing schools, or it's high school or whatever, how did you negotiate or navigate like fit, right? Like, this has to be the right place for me to accentuate my skills, versus I feel like I'm pretty good and I'm going to be good regardless of where I go. Right. Like, so how do you navigate that? Because so much of the NBA is going to be about fit, because we know that there's a minimum baseline of talent. Like, all you guys are good, like, but fit matters. Right. So how do you navigate that?
Yeah. It's such a good question. Obviously, coming out of high school, there wasn't really a lot of options. South Dakota State was my only option. But I think
which still doesn't sound right. I hate to interrupt you, but that it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, considering Walters and Dom and Kai, like, just, I mean, they had fellas.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Back when I was going through the process in high school, I was definitely bitter and upset that I wasn't recruited. Wasn't even given the time of day by really anybody in the high major level. But looking back on it now, obviously I wouldn't change a thing. And I'm thankful that when I went to the transfer portal, that's when all of the teams started coming. And I was just a little older and kind of knew what to expect and knew what I was really looking for in a team. When you're in high school, you can kind of get, caught up in the show of recruiting, if that makes sense. But fit's a big thing, and like you said, in the NBA, it's huge. You look at guys that have found roles in the NBA that weren't really looked at in high school or college, and they've carved out a role in the NBA. So I think it's a big factor. And for me, I have my agent, and the agency that I'm with is the best in my opinion and what they do. So that gives me a good kind of head start, I think, on everybody else. But I think, like you said, the fit part is a big part of what I'm going into.
Baylor, so I got to ask you, I've got some inside info about your trip out to Utah recently. Not about the workout, but I heard you got to visit the set of one of your favorite movies.
Absolutely, bro. That was so lit. Oh my god, that was so lit. I think, like, I don't think people realize. Like, I think people sometimes think that like I'm joking around about it, but like I actually like love those movies. Like,
He's talking about High School Musical, by the way.
Yeah, it was the biggest like check off my bucket list. Like,
Lord have mercy.
It was crazy because I got there and like there was a sign on the door that said like nobody can come in from May 26th to like September 23rd for construction, which meant like there was no high school tours allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started just walking around the school, and like there was this dude working in the auto shop that's like connected to the school. And I literally just asked him, like I told him my story, like I'm a huge fan. This is my first time here. And he let me in the school, and it was literally just me. There was nobody else in there. It was so lit.
See that is the cool. Just watching you from afar, this whole like that's the cool thing about you. You're just eccentric and eclectic enough to be your own guy, but cool enough around just normal enough around everybody else around you that makes you inviting. I get that has to be part of what has captivated some of these draft guys when they take a look at your personality, right? Because it seems like you may be quirky, and you might, but there's this thing about you that's pretty inviting as well.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about myself in that way because my mom always raised me to obviously be humble.
And I hear she's nothing to mess around with too. I've heard that your whole life, so I'm gonna give her due.
She's not. She's a great. She's the best. But yeah, I think obviously like I'm from Aurora, Nebraska, and so when I walk into these NBA rooms, like oh my gosh, she's probably wearing boots and jeans and cowboy hats. But like
you didn't wear overalls
really,
to any of the meetings?
Yeah, no. Like I'm literally like Damon said, I can fit into any room and just like catch a vibe with any group of people. I listen to NBA Youngboy, I listen to Gunna, like I can like I'm with everything. Like I got tattoos, like
can rock the headband. I mean the bowl cut.
The mullet, like whatever you need, I can give you. You know what I mean? Like I like to think I'm versatile,
And then he's out here rocking with Troy Bolton like High School Musical. We love it.
Bro, there's no shame. That's fire. That is fire.
Easy to cheer for, man. We appreciate the 25 minutes. A heck of a week and best wishes to you.
Baylor, best of luck this week. We'll be rooting for you.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, babe.
That's Baylor Scheierman, Creighton guard, and soon to be NBA player.
Hey, shout out to our Hurrdat team too. I can't wait to
we got to
see the production.
We got something for y'all with Baylor's draft process. It's going to be awesome. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We are back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're also on KFOR in Lincoln. What's not either?
You said that's DV. It's not either.
I'm pretty sure that is DB. I don't know. I didn't do a DNA check or anything, but as far as I can tell.
Dude, these Mando commercials are foul.
I don't even recognize what we're doing. Like Mandalorian? Mando?
No, like the pH, like
the deodorant stuff?
Yeah, they're doing too much.
Not about that life.
This is gross.
I will say I appreciate our conversation with Baylor Scheierman.
He was fantastic.
Especially, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but the way he just was not embarrassed at all, just totally owned. He's like, no, I love High School Musical.
What?
Like, that was incredible. I love that.
You reach a certain point of accomplishments. Why else would you care what anybody thinks?
I don't even know if it's an accomplishments thing, man. Like, some people are just wired that way.
And he clearly is. And just authentic.
It's like when you're making fun of me for drinking like a seltzer or something. I'm just like, hey, that's what I like. I don't care.
I sent one of my because I don't want people to think I think anything is wrong with seltzers. I mean, you guys and gals do you. But one of the groceries, my buddy Boyce sent me some coupons.
Yeah.
He sends me my digital coupons for the week. I was like, oh, I think I'm going to send these over to Jernigan. They've got seltzers on. And he's the last guy that would drink seltzer, but the first guy to be offended by it. If you told him it's like Chablis or however you say Chablis.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's. I sent it.
I'm
sent
usually,
it to him, and he gave me the middle finger.
I'm
emoji.
usually
like, I didn't even know they had that emoji.
like a high noon, neutral. You know,
Yeah.
I'll mess around with those. I don't care.
I saw your boy, Coach Maloli. He had a neutral in hand.
I like
or
what-
a high noon in
I
hand.
like what I like.
Yeah.
That thing wet.
Good on you.
I don't care if Tommy Frazier's coming over and making fun about seltzers. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, he touched it. He touched it.
Oh,
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that was comedy.
And
you get him and Dwayne together, Harris. It's and I thought of him, Dwayne, yesterday as we were talking about being at my house in March, and there was a guy on TikTok that was talking about the top 5 places you don't want to be after sundown in Alabama, and he said Bessemer, Alabama. The guy on TikTok, and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That's where Dwayne is from. I remember hearing some stories.
Yep, they're called sundown towns.
Well, for different reasons, but yeah. Historically, it was because we had to get out of town.
Yeah.
This was just don't be caught out, regardless of.
Oh,
what you-
regardless. Okay. Okay. I thought you were being specific.
No,
it's a general. You don't want to be out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's there's places like that too. We don't
Like
love
old
it.
school Kenlock, East St. Louis, places like that.
Yeah, we don't want to be in East St. Louis.
I was like, I'd ask like Lorenzo Brinkley. I was like, why are they?
I got
it's like
lost.
early '90s. It's like, well, why do you have bars on your gas stations? It's like, it's 2 p.m.
Yeah.
man. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Or when Severe and I walked to go get chicken in Chicago, like we walked.
Yeah, don't do that.
And they gave us our food through the rotating glass thing. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to reach under there. It's fine.
You're like, oh, it's a different place.
I was like, why'd we walk?
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Michael, apostrophe.
When you're next to a nail in a bail bonds place, you probably know you're
If you
getting
saw
some good food.
If you saw a Cricket Wireless, get out. Just get to stepping.
Ravi, Lulla here for Cricket.
Hey, if they want to sponsor us, we love them.
I love the fact that he getting back to Baylor, that he could say, yeah, I was mad.
Yeah. No, I did. Yeah. I like that.
Like, I can appreciate that.
Well, that's kind of why,
Not that I encourage it,
No,
but at least like knowing that about yourself.
when you asked him the fit question, that was interesting because you framed it as like, okay, like the fit versus, hey, I'm pretty good, I'll make it work anywhere.
Yeah.
Because like there's that confidence is what gives that second part of it, right? The confidence to be mad that they wanted to put you in a tight end room, or that they wanted you to hang out with the tight ends.
How about that though?
I mean, it's possible the previous staff missed on some stuff.
No, it worked out for him.
It did.
But everybody told me just covering him.
It
'cause
worked out
He
for-
has cousins in Omaha,
Yeah.
and they had played with Caleb forever.
Mhm.
So like, I'm into this Aurora thing.
Yeah. It worked out for Baylor. It did not work out for that previous
He
staff.
just sounded generally honest. Like he had honest responses to your guys' questions.
Yeah.
And believe me, I can see the difference between, well, it's who he's playing against and he's just good.
Yeah.
No. I'm telling you, that was one of those broadcasts when, by the way, shout out to Baylor for remembering what I said. Like that's pretty cool. But I've been fortunate enough to do some broadcasts since the middle 2000s of some single. I remember there's a couple guys that jump out at me, like Wyatt Mazur, and I've seen rushing records broke, and like I just remember watching Baylor, and I'm thinking, and I joked again, another one of those things on the broadcast. I go, I wonder if he'd reopen his football commitment.
Yeah,
because I had seen some guys have some good state championships, and all of a sudden it changed people's minds.
Sure.
Right? Like Keegan Johnson going from a junior to a senior. And I try to tell people that Keegan was pretty good, and all of a sudden he houses one against West Side, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's really
Still
good.
pretty good.
And all of a sudden the phone's ringing, right? but people like kids that are grounded like that, they don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate the
Johnny come lately.
The coming by lately.
Yeah.
But the fit thing is important because I think sometimes, people, it's the self-awareness to know that I'm good, but fit does matter. is a real thing.
100%.
Right?
Well, especially in the NBA.
Reed Shepherd playing in Memphis is different than Reed Shepherd playing in Houston, right? Analytics are still the same but the fit in Houston, like, okay, color me intrigued.
Yeah.
Go to Memphis?
Yeah.
Nah.
Weird culture.
I'm not as enamored by that. It's like, kids pick high schools.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you're not built like that. Like, why? Well, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Okay.
You're going to have to deal with things that you don't want to deal with.
I get it, right? Like, my mom can't drive more than 45 miles an hour. The interstate may be the best way to go.
She's not taking it.
Just doesn't fit her talents.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just, we say fit and we think like schematic most of the time, right? A lot of it's your temperament versus the coach's temperament.
Or the
coach's philosophy.
Yeah.
Right? Like Doug's a great example. There's Doug McDermott, right? Going to go play for Tom Thibodeau probably was not great for him because Tom Thibodeau did not want to play rookies, especially rookies that were not defensively minded, right? That was a tough fit for him, even though Chicago in general, like what they needed fit his skill set. But Thibodeau's mindset wasn't that way, right? And then you see him go other places and he's more successful than he was in Chicago. But like there's a fit on a schematic level, there's a fit on a cultural level, and there's a fit on what like a coach personality level, both what they're looking for and how they operate. And it's way harder to find a good fit than like schematic fit out of those three. I'd probably put third.
Yeah.
Right. Like I can figure out schematically what to do if the other two.
If you're willing to compromise as a coach, sometimes they aren't.
No, I mean, if I'm a player, I'd rather have the coach's temperament and culture, right?
Remember I told you Sage Rosenfeld back in 12 told me the most underappreciated aspect of why so many quarterbacks miss is the relationship they have with their OC. Fit. It's not the talent thing.
Let's get to Michigan, Lance. I'm sorry to do this to you 2 days in a row, Lance. You got like 90 seconds for
me. That's
it.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. So you were talking about that fit stuff, man. You heard Rich Paul. If you hear him talking about Bronny James, man, it's the same type of stuff, and it's really good stuff that he's talking about him about development, and he's on that same page, finding the right structure, the right fit for him to excel.
Which is one of the reasons I think he was pushing for Hurley, to be honest. I mean,
right, I got you.
Reddick's going to get a lot of the scapegoat for being that new head coach, but I don't think that was LeBron's first choice. I think he wanted to develop. I think he wanted a guy like Hurley. But anyway, go ahead.
I got you. Hey, check out. Hey, man, I went down to K-State, DB. You said it was nice, man. My son did pretty well. You can check his Twitter. Had a good time down there. Ran into my guy Clint Brown, who I coached with at Wayne State, and O'Connor Riley, who used to come down and recruit at Concordia. He was the first person from the D1 to recruit Concordia when I was down there, man. So he holds a special place in my heart.
Did we look? You still there? Hey,
I'm still here.
Yes, they definitely they do it right. Just be prepared to shoot down to Lincoln on Wednesday.
Wednesday? Let me know the time, brother. We're ready.
I will.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Michigan, Lance, we'll talk to you later. We appreciate the call.
Hey, talk to K-State, DB. They really like them down there.
I got you.
All right.
We will talk to Kyle Peterson coming up next. We've got a winner-take-all game tonight.
2
in the College World Series. We also have one in Stanley Cup as well, but we're talking to Kyle Peterson next.
Yeah, I know.
He's our guy from ESPN.
Not Darren Pang.
We'll wrap up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
And this ball is popped up into right. This one is now at the track, and that's where it will die when the wind brought it in. It just didn't sound the same as the foul ball. And Tennessee forces a game 3. They win it 4-1.
Obviously, you've got one more College World Series game tonight, but on Thursday, you can also go out to Union Omaha to catch their match on Thursday, June 27th at Warner Park, 7 p.m. against Chattanooga. It is part of the USL Jägermeister Cup, and it is Cancer Awareness Night. So if you need a little more local sports fix after the College World Series is over, make sure you get out to Union Omaha. We are efforting KP here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We've got a winner-take-all game, though, DB. I'm excited.
Yeah, we do. I had to double check.
Oh, I think we lost him again. Shane, is his mic on?
The mic's on.
Nope, we lost him again. Is it the other headset? Did we put the wrong headset on? Maybe. Hold on. Oh, I think we're back. Yep, that was the wrong headset.
It's my first rodeo.
That's okay. I'm not a big rodeo guy personally.
I don't know how you just sit here the whole time in between breaks either.
What do you mean?
Like I have to get up and move.
Yeah, Well, I worked an office job for a long time, so I'm used to just sitting all day.
No, can't do it. Can't do it.
We have Kyle here.
Good, because I need to check with old KP.
We got Kyle Peterson. He covers college baseball for ESPN and SEC Network. Kyle, what's going on?
Good morning. How are we?
Very subdued this morning, KP.
Good morning. KP,
we're light on sleep, boys.
Oh, yeah, I
get 5 minutes. You may want the 5-second delay on this one. I'll just tell you ahead of time.
Well, we got rid of Herzog last week before he dropped an F-bomb, so I think we're capable of doing anything, KP. You just do your thing, buddy. We'll adjust. Am I misremembering, KP? I get 0 for 16 and 0 for 6 with runners on base and runners in scoring position. And their first 2 hits with either of those things happening, on base or in scoring position, were home runs for Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's right?
I think so.
Is that not incredible? Is that not incredible? And they won.
Yeah.
KP?
Yeah, it's who they are. Like they, by the numbers, I mean, it's the second most prolific offense in the history of college baseball from a home run standpoint. They're only 6 behind what LSU did when I helped them in 1997. And I don't know that a whole lot of people would have thought that number would ever be approached. And it's not crazy to think they don't hit 6 tonight. Like they've done it before.
Yeah.
But that's the way they score runs. Nobody scores a higher percentage of runs than Tennessee off of the home run, which would make sense when you've hit 182 of them. But that's the way they get it done. And that's why they never think they're out of a game, which they shouldn't. They're not ever out of a game because top to bottom in that lineup, anybody can go deep. Like Cal Stark was 0 for 16 in the College World Series, or 0 for 13, whatever it was. And they hang a slider and he hits it in the seats, and then it's 4-1, which totally changed the ninth inning. Totally changed the ninth inning. If it's 2-1 in the ninth and your first 2 guys are on, it's a very different approach to the way you're going to go after it. But when it's 4-1, you're not going to bunt them over. We're not giving runs up, or we're not giving outs up in that situation. So, yeah, that's why they're, that's why people show up. That's why you watch them, because they can do things that literally nobody else in the country can do.
KP, what are your thoughts on, because I'm glad you referenced it, because I saw it a couple of times the last 2 days, and I see it all the time in Major League Baseball. I get it, right? You don't locate a changeup or you miss on a fastball, you can get hurt. But it just seems like when slide pieces don't slide, they leave the yard. Like, what is it about that particular pitch that pitchers pay for more than not when it doesn't do what it's supposed to do?
Yeah, it's like sinkers that don't sink. I mean, sinkers that don't sink rise really quick on the other side. And sliders that hang in the middle. What's crazy is, and people are starting to figure this out, and this is kind of the analytics piece right now, if you miss with a slider on the inside black, you win. Because nobody sees it. Like a backup slider on the inside black of the plate, guys either don't swing or it jams them. But if you miss with a slider in the middle, you're dead. Because it ends up being a BP fastball, and the movement of the pitch goes right into your barrel path. So it's already moving a little bit down. Your barrel path is moving a little bit up. And if you catch it right, it's going to go a long ways. So, that's the challenge of the pitch, to where if you execute it, guys don't do anything. Like if you bury sliders down and away, there's not a lot of humans that take a slider down and away on the knees and the outside black and hit it out of the ballpark. Because it's not easy to do. Like everything has to work right. And then you got to work the other side of the field from a swing standpoint. And all of those things are really hard to do. But if you leave one in the middle and it's moving into your bat path, it's a lot easier to be right. And I mean, that's what you saw with Cal Stark last night. Like he was right. And if you're right on that one, you start yelling for a new baseball.
We're talking with Kyle Peterson of ESPN. As you kind of look at these two teams, you look at, it seems like these were probably the favorites coming in. They were the favorites coming into the College World Series. Probably got the best two teams in college baseball this year. Where do you make the differences, or where do you see the differences when you're looking at Game 3 and who might come out on top?
I think the biggest difference tonight is who goes to the bullpen when. So if A&M can get Lampkin to get them through 5 or 6, and it's close, or obviously if they have the lead, and you can bring Aschenbeck in and he can finish, then that's a huge advantage for A&M. Because he has been the best, by the numbers, he's been the best reliever in the country. Tennessee does it differently, where they can mix and match, and there's probably not a guy in their bullpen that you look at and say, if you give us 9 outs tonight, we're going to win. I think it is that way for A&M. For Tennessee, it's a bunch of different looks. Like it's Kirby Connell, who has more appearances than anybody in the history of Tennessee baseball, that quite honestly is probably going to never throw a pitch after tonight in a uniform. It's 2 guys that throw 100. One of them went to Iowa Western. It's a sidewinder that comes down and shows you different looks. Like it's all these different things. And A&M can show you different looks, but their bullpen just isn't as deep as Tennessee. So if you want an advantage, if A&M can make this a 2-pitcher game, then I think it's advantage A&M.
If A&M's going to get it going offensively, and who needs, and I'm going to guess it's somebody in the back half of the lineup, but I don't want to speak for you. But they've had balance all year, and when they hit it, like that was a pretty complete offense. Who's got to get it going for you?
Well, no Braden Montgomery changes that offense pretty significantly. I mean,
for all we talked about their depth too, right? It's starting to show up.
Yeah, it mattered. Now, Caden Kent's been awesome, and he's the one that stepped in when Montgomery got hurt and got a chance. And if he has a decent night tonight and A&M wins, he's probably the MVP of this tournament. But no Montgomery, just from a thump standpoint, a scare standpoint, totally changes that offense. I think it's the older guys in the middle. I think it's Appel and Schott and Burton, who combined have played 13 or 14 years of college baseball at this point. They're all seniors. They're all transfers. They all have a heartbeat that's pretty slow. Grohovac can do superhuman things. Laviolette can do superhuman things. Kent is in a different world right now. It's those 3 that are not, like Appel's a decent pro prospect. The other ones aren't. But I think for A&M to have a chance tonight, that 3-4-5 piece that isn't as sexy as Tennessee's 3-4-5, but yet their experience level is higher than probably any 3-4-5 in the country. I think that's the piece that has to be there tonight.
Kyle, as we let you go here, I believe Dalton Bargo has a chance to do something that, if my research is correct, that no one else has done. That's be a guy from Omaha winning a College World Series in Omaha. You're one of the only handful of people that's even had a chance to do that. Like, kind of try and put yourself in Dalton's shoes for a minute here. How much would that mean had it been you that was able to cross the finish line? And how do you think that'll impact Dalton tonight?
Oh, man. It's what you think about from the time you're 5 years old.
Yeah.
If you grow up here. And so from that standpoint, I think that, I don't know. I mean, it changes your life. It's different for anybody, but man, it's more different when you're from here, just because you've seen it and been the kid in the stands and everything else. So yeah, I think if they can pull it off, whether he's in the middle of it or not, he's been a part of what they've done the whole year. That'd be a pretty cool thing on your Wikipedia page for the rest of your life.
Hey,
say that you're the one from here that did it.
KP, it was long rumored, at least the last handful of weeks. What's your level of surprise to what's happened with Pierce at Texas?
I honestly didn't see it. So did something happen?
Yeah, all reports are that he's on his way out in Austin, man.
There was a bunch of smoke. And here's what's nuts about this world of sports, right? Like A&M and Texas are playing in the regional. Texas is the 2 seed, and Texas outplayed them in game 2. and A&M comes back and beats them at the end, and then Texas gets knocked out, and obviously A&M's playing for the whole thing. If Texas wins that game, I don't know if we're having this discussion.
It's weird like
and
that.
It's a matter
man.
of like 1-2 out hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all this. The sports world sometimes makes no sense. And David's had a ton of success there, and he will at the next place. It may not be the best fit. I think the time has somewhat proven that. But at the same sense, man, if you go look at the history that they've had, I mean, I did the Super last year, and they got knocked out because a kid lost the ball in the lights in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't the coach. Sorry. Sometimes it happens.
Say it all the time, man. To win
The guy's pretty
championships,
good.
you have to be a little fortunate. I mean, Burke gets a check swing called on him. This whole thing could be different, right? I mean, so you need a little good
100%.
fortune. Good man, KP. I appreciate you.
Seen that yet, but
Yeah, well,
All right, boys.
I'll
I
get your
appreciate
thoughts
you too.
later. Thanks, KP.
All good. Chip.
That's Kyle Peterson. That's Hurrdat Sports Radio. We'll be back tomorrow.
Cool. Appreciate y'all.